Tells me I'm live. All right. I don't even want to go. I want to go to the... Hey, everybody. This is kind of a test. Somewhat of a test. I'm streaming with my webcam, which... I'm streaming... Okay, so we're going to shut that off. Hey, what's up? Happy Thanksgiving. Good morning. It's 5 p.m., sir. Okay. Everybody let me know if this is okay. It's probably going to be a little wobbly because I've got it on a tray table and I've got the mouse on the tray table, and every time I mess with that, it's going to bounce. But I'm trying out using my webcam.
I'll move the other tray next to you and you can put the mouse on the other tray.
It looks like it's a little stuttery, the video, but looks fine on my playback. Okay. Doing well. Okay, that looks better. This is doable. I mean, this isn't as good as it's setting up my camera, and I'm probably going to need some coffee at some point.
Right.
I don't need this thing. So I don't need that.
Okay. There you go. You can put your mouse on that one.
So that was quite a bit easier than I expected it to be. So somewhat. Just let me know if you can hear me and if everything sounds okay. Put that over there. All right, so I have a bunch of updates. First of all, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, if you can join me now or if you're watching this later. We are almost into December. Black Friday is tomorrow. Today was Turkey Day. I'm still awake. Even after a late tournament, we didn't get in bed until about 4:30 this morning, and then we woke up for turkey, and yeah. So a few different things. First of all, I wanted to talk about my new rated series. I was going to put a video up for this, and I've been wanting to do a live stream for a long time. I haven't done one of my Saturday live streams for a while, but it's because we've had so many releases back to back to back to back to back to back to back, and so every time I normally like to stream when I put up the videos and when on the ball release dates, which tomorrow is the release date for the RSTX1 and Idle Synergy. By the way, the Proton's still another week off, but tomorrow is the day. So if you have Black Friday sales, or our Pro Shop group is doing both, one location is doing a Black Friday sale and the other one's doing I call it Black Saturday. Same deal. But so if you want to check those out, definitely watch the videos and then go make a purchase. I know that there's some places that are getting shut back down again. I think Michigan was one of them, so that sucks, but we'll make it through. But as far as that goes, when they release information for a ball, they don't necessarily like everybody to just, go promote it right away, because especially most of the time they release information like 5 to 6 weeks early. And if you can't go out and get the ball, then there's really no point but to say, hey, this is coming, put it on your radar. But at the same time, there's no reason for me to hype up a bunch of stuff, especially when we have stuff that just released. I mean, we had the Axiom Pearl and the Fast Pitch, and right on the heels of that, then they're already announcing Proton, Idle Synergy, RST. And if I do a live stream after, releasing Axiom Pearl and Fast Pitch videos, just to have everybody ask about stuff that I'm not really allowed to talk about yet, it just doesn't, because I have to deflect comments or I have to just ignore comments, and I don't like doing either one of those, so I just haven't done a live stream. One big thing that I'm sure I lost a lot of subscribers over this which is actually kind of hilarious. My new rated series, I dumped 29 videos all at the same time and kind of obliterated some people's sub boxes, and so they weren't too happy about that. But the way that thing works is it only works if I upload all the videos at the same time. The idea behind the rated series was so that you can chain comparisons as much as you want. There's a lot of my time goes into answering this ball versus this ball, or making specific videos. Every time a ball comes out, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to make this comparison video and this comparison video and this comparison video. But a lot of them overlap, and you end up seeing. So if I put out I made like 8 or 9 videos for, say, the Phase 3 last year, and you see the same Phase 3 footage in every single video. I have to add it into every video, but I can't think of enough different things to say about it for 9 straight videos without getting into a bunch of redundancy. And so that gets a little boring, and then having to write a script and do a separate video, even when I have all the footage to put together. And it's already, once I put together the review, I just take that footage, as I'm sure that those of you that watch all the comparison videos see, I take all that footage and just add new audio to it, or add new review. Move this closer. So I add new review audio to it, and it gets really redundant with the ball that we're talking about. And then no matter how many balls I compare it to, there's always some wild off the wall comparison that somebody else wants it compared to, like compare the Omega Crux to a Wild Streak or something. And that's just off the reservation. But with my rated series, if you want to compare the Omega Crux to the Wild Streak, you can watch the Omega Crux video, and then you can watch the Wild Streak video, and then bam, there's your comparison. I break down, I give you all the details, I give you the cover stock, whether the core is asymmetric or symmetric. I give you the core numbers. I talk a bit about the cover strength, talk about the core strengths. I talk about the ball motion shapes, all within about a minute 15. And so you can chain as many of those comparisons as you want. So if you want to compare this ball to this ball, and I even started adding some of the recently discontinued stuff, like I got all the halos on there now. I got the Pro Motion up. I got the Idol Pro. MVP. I finally got all the urethane stuff up. And so most of what you want to compare to, aside from stuff like, I think I even did one for the Marvel Pearl too, and that's been gone for a while, but I've still had requests for like Sonic and Supersonic, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm probably not going to do because they're far enough gone and they just weren't popular enough. If some random comment comes in, I'll answer it. But the idea behind that is to save me some time, and also kind of make it easier for you too, instead of having to wait for all these, comparison videos. If you want to see this ball versus this ball, and watching one review and then the other review is not quite getting it done, or you don't want to watch 10 minutes of video to get a comparison. These are just little 1-minute snippets, so you can go, okay, I want this ball, watch this video, and then go watch this video, and there's your comparison. You don't have to worry about anything. So it's about as plug and play as it's literally as easy as I can make it, because it's what I do in the comparison videos. I literally take this. I just put the two balls together in one video. I don't do anything different for the comparisons. And so I thought, if I just make a little individual snapshot video for each ball, then you can just chain comparison to your heart content. So that's the idea behind that. If you still have questions, then I'll obviously respond if I get the notification, or I keep seeing stuff where I'll go back on a video and I'll actually get into the video comments list, because sometimes they don't show up in my notifications. Sometimes they don't show up in I actually have a comments tab on YouTube that I can go to, and it lists all the comments, and I have a few different filters and everything, and they still don't all make it in there either. So if I ask a question, or if you ask a question, I don't answer it, it's not because I'm blowing you off or don't want to get to it. Sometimes it takes a couple days for me to get to it. But if I'm not answering a question, it's not because I'm blowing it off. It's because I literally didn't get the notification. That happens a lot more than you think it would, especially with so much stuff coming in. So, I had a chia drink. This is fantastic, by the way. Mojito lime mint coconut. Heck yeah. Wait, what about Swiss?
Urethane. I tried to get him over urethane and he didn't.
Oh yeah. Ha ha. Blah, ha ha. So anyway, that's the rundown about the rated series. So, and that's one of those things. Going forward, I'm going to start. Actually, another thing. I have my coffee cup here that I will have. So if you see, it's a Star Wars coffee cup, and as it warms up, I have all these different lightsabers on here that will ignite. So if my wife will be so kind as to make me a 10-ounce cup of coffee.
Actually, what I was going to do is just make hot water, and you can show it lighting up.
Oh, well, I want coffee though.
I'll do that next. We're going to do it in stages here.
Oh, okay. We're going to see what happens. Anyway, I'm going to start a new series on Friday mornings because I'm off on Fridays. Actually, I'm working from home for the next couple months, but they would prefer me to actually be working when I'm working from home. So I will use my day off on Friday. I'm going to probably do it at like 8 a.m. And I'm just going to have live streams every week with a cup or two of coffee. And if you catch it, then fine. If not, then sorry. But
so I would try and keep it like 30, at least under an hour.
Yeah, that's not going to be very long. But I'm going to have some interesting and different stuff to talk about. I'm getting tired of being the bowl review guy, which I'm glad it's helpful. I'm glad people like the reviews. But at some certain point, I've said this before, but you kind of have to get out of the pro shop and off of YouTube and actually go throw the ball. And if you're in the middle of bowling, there's a lot of questions that come in that it's like, well, if you have this question now, I'm not going to be able to answer. If you have this question now, this is kind of entry. Some of the questions are entry level stuff, and I'm like, well, I can't help you while you're in the middle of bowling, and I appreciate that you trust me with your questions and trust that I'm going to give you good information, accurate answers. But at the same time, there's some people who will rely on getting their questions asked, and I'm thinking, well, if you just did a Google search, or if you just thought about this for 10 seconds before you left me a question. Some people leave questions just because they want to get an answer. They just want to chat you up, and that's perfectly fine. I'll talk to anybody who wants to talk to me. But at some point, you have to become more self-reliant. We had a Thanksgiving Eve tournament last night, kind of overnight. It started at 8 p.m. and we got home about 4:30 a.m. or so. But there was a couple. Brad Miller was there. He's from the Kansas City area anyway, so he makes a lot of the stuff if they're not doing tour stuff. And
can I go get the pen so we can promote that too?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But Brad Miller was there last night, and after we got done, we chatted a little bit about. He made several of the shows here recently that they've been airing, and he made the playoffs, and he made a couple rounds through the playoffs, and he was talking about the absolute craziness that how good these guys are is way above and beyond what a lot of people think of. Oh, it's just lining up and knocking the pins down and knowing what moves to make. That's like that's the most basic of the basic. Yeah, just palm there. I'll get.
Oh my God, I'm so excited though. I want to bounce around.
Yeah, I know. But when people have more basic questions, and I'm thinking, gosh, if you can't, and everybody's at different points in their learning. And I had a bunch of basic questions earlier, but that's not going to pour out of that very well. But don't burn me. No, just pour it fast. Yeah, because that's going to happen. All right, so this is hot water. So as I'm talking, we're going to watch. It's very hot water. I'm going to watch the lightsabers ignite here as far as the water is anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is my fancy Star Wars mug. Anyhow, sometimes there's a difference between, being ignorant, which is not a bad word. People use ignorant way too often to mean stupid, when ignorant really just means that you don't know something. Being ignorant, ignorant's not a bad word. It just means that you don't know something, and everybody's at all different stages of their knowledge and experience of whatever else. But there are some questions that are just, okay, well, I don't understand this, or I don't have this information. There's other questions where it's like, you should have been able, no matter your amount of experience or knowledge, you should have been able to figure this out on your own. And if you have this kind of a question while you're in the middle of a tournament, I can't help you, and you're probably, bad things are going to happen. And so while I am okay answering questions, I don't want people to rely on me or anybody else really any more than they have to. At some point, you have to leave all that stuff back on the approach and, out of it, and just go actually bowl. Some people put way too much effort or emphasis on the wrong things. And so I will still be, I'm still going to be doing the reviews, and I'm going to try to strip that down instead of just spamming ball video after ball video after ball video. And there's so many people out there doing it now too, that it's like, by the time I actually put a video out, and Storm's got a video out, and then there's 3 or 4 videos from Korea and a couple from Japan. And then like Darren Tang makes great videos. The production, I'm never going to make anything like that. Him and whoever puts his videos together just makes some good stuff. And there's so many other people that are making videos now that, a video is just going to get lost in the 25 or 30 of them that will be out there within a month of any ball releasing. And so,
what flavor and how many ounces?
Huh?
What flavor and how many ounces?
Pick something and 10 ounces. We got a new coffee maker, and it asks what the size of the cup was. We used to just have the single shot ones where you'd fill the cup up and you'd dump the cup in. And so however much water you put, it put that much coffee back out. And so I went to use it for the first time. I'm like, I don't know what size this cup is. So we're going to see what happens. But anyway, I want to do different things aside from just the endless spamming ball commercials all the time. And understanding ball motion is one very small piece of a 500 to 1,000 piece puzzle. And I don't really like being the ball review guy. When I started out, it was just to help my customers in the pro shop. And that's why I told people that's why my channel is just my name, because that was going to be the easiest way for my customers to find me, because I'd have people come in 7 or 8 years ago before, ball reviews were a way different thing several years ago. And so they would say, well, I see a guy with a 500 rev rate playing fourth arrow with every ball set to rock music. This doesn't help me out. I can't see the differences in the balls. I don't understand. Nothing makes any sense. So can you just tell me what the differences are between these balls? And I just gotten on Storm staff, and we have some incentives for posting reviews and making videos and doing stuff like that. And I'm like, well, heck, I can do several different things at the same time here. And so I started making videos, and I would say, okay, well, just search my name. Here's my card. Just search my name on YouTube. The videos will come up, and you'll see what you want to see. And I took kind of a pro shop attitude to it. And so they started sharing, and, people would start sharing it. And then other people would just randomly find it on YouTube, and they enjoyed it. And if they asked a question, I'd answer them back. And so the personal touch more so than the actual video quality. The videos have always been pretty basic, and my monotone droning voice gently soothing people to sleep. But it was just more the personal touch of it not being like some grand big advertisement, and actually answering questions that got asked. And it was more like I was a YouTube pro shop guy than some kind of staff or hype guy trying to brown nose to keep their contract. So it got popular, and I had always wanted to do different things, and it's kind of gone sideways. And once you get to a certain point on YouTube, there's some things that I've had to start doing to kind of pay the bills, so to speak. It's a lot of time and it's a lot of expense, and to be able to justify continuing to do it, views, getting views is a big thing. And so there's been a lot of videos where I've kind of made to generate views more than, and there's been people that, they like the comparison videos and they like all these other kinds of videos, but I'm thinking, well, you don't need endless comparison videos to everything. You can watch one review and then you can watch the other review. And if you can't understand it from there, me putting it all into one video is not going to help anybody, or it shouldn't help anybody. Now, if you enjoy it, if they're entertaining, that's fine too. But there's been a lot of things that I've had to do to keep the boat afloat, so to speak, that I'm not terribly interested in, that I don't think is very helpful. And I don't want to get people dependent on that type of stuff. I don't want to get people thinking that all this stuff is a bigger deal than it really is. There's a lot of people that try to, boil it right down to a science. And another one of the things that Brad was talking about last night is I asked him how dirty that surface was. And what I mean by how dirty that surface was, ball reaction was weird on all those shows that they had in this Bolero Center or whatever, where they filmed the playoffs and a bunch of the World Series of Bowling stuff and the clashes and whatever else. Brad said that it was an open play center only before they bowled in it. He said that there had never been a reactive ball thrown in a competitive manner, league or otherwise, in that house. It was an open play center, plastic balls only. And so he said, number one, it was really weird. So reaction was all over the place. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. And he said, as they continued to bowl on it, he said it would change from day to day and even set to set. And he said there was a lot of things that they changed in the playoffs format. And sometimes they would be, they would have fresh oil, or sometimes they would bowl on a game of burn, or they would, they had different formats that they would go through. And he said it even changed during the playoffs while they were going through it. He said that the match that he had with Smallwood, he said they felt quite a bit wetter that match than they did his previous matches against Doherty and Svensson. And so with so many different factors that go into throwing a round ball down a lane at some weird looking white sticks, you can't lock it down mathematically. And you can look at all the cover types and cover strengths and the core numbers and whatever else. And sometimes the stuff just doesn't make any sense. I mean, if you sand an MVP Pearl, you're going to get a very similar on-lane look to something like an Omega Crux, even though the numbers are not similar whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. And so there's a lot of questions I get where people try to lock it down mathematically, partly because they don't understand it, and that's fine because it takes forever to understand stuff. And then when you talk to somebody like Brad, even though I've been doing this for a long time, he's been doing it at a professional level, bowling day in and day out, and his knowledge and experience base is so far above and beyond even some good local heroes or whatever, because he's at different center after different center after different center in different climates with different pins, or not different pins really, I guess they take their pins around, but different center, different lanes, different ages of lanes, different amount of traffic on them, just different all over the place. And if the same center with the same oil and the same lane machine and the same pins and whatever else plays different from day to day, or even after re-oiling on the same day, you can't lock this stuff down. You just can't. And so trying to get all crazy about this ball versus that ball or whatever, you need to understand ball motion and try to throw as much of the math stuff off to the side as you can. There's a certain time and point where you need to think about It's so hard to describe, and that's why people say, well, can you make a video for this? Or it's like I can't even explain it into words. Like Brad said that Norm Duke has some. He's like, Norm has some stuff that is just brilliant, but it's Norm specific. It's specific to his game. It won't work for anybody else. Norm is on a different wavelength. The stuff only makes sense to him. And he said Belmo might be doing exactly the same thing that Norm does in a certain scenario, but Belmo sees it from a completely different point of view. And they don't even know that they're really doing the same thing because they would explain it different. They think of it different. And so trying to nail this stuff down is absolutely completely impossible, no matter what anybody tells you. At a certain point, you have to take what you learn on YouTube or on videos, and you have to apply it to your own game. There's so many people, like I was watching Darren Tang's proton physics video the other day, and there were so many people. I mean, it's number one, his videos are great production value, so they're very entertaining to watch. They're very professionally made. They look great. Plus, he's a professional bowler, and so he's going to hit on some of those nuances. Like there was something he was talking about the lane front to back instead of side to side. So that's one of those things that several times I'll make a video and I'm like, well, this ball hooks a lot more than this ball, but this other ball on a house shot is going to cover more boards just because it's more angular. If you take an Omega Crux and a Wild Streak, I can cover more boards with a Wild Streak than an Omega Crux, even though an Omega is quite a bit stronger than a Wild Streak, both on paper and on the lane and whatever else, but it's stronger front to back, not necessarily side to side. Something being stronger doesn't necessarily mean it's going to cover more boards. And I still saw several people that were criticizing, say, well, it's one bowler and one layout, and you're on one pattern, and where's the 4 pattern videos? And I guess some of the house guys do videos where they feature 4 different patterns, and that doesn't even matter, because we can put down the same we can put down the same pattern in 2 different centers and get 2 different results. That's when so many people go in and they'll say, oh, well, I want when they used to release the nationals patterns before nationals and people would practice on it before going out. And then they're like, oh, well, it was totally different at the stadium than it was at my home house. So I don't know what was going on with that. And it's like, well, I mean, that makes perfect sense because we had a Swiss Trios tournament in Wichita a couple of months ago. And James is Schimrecker, if he's still in here, then, we practiced on that pattern at Gage, one of my filming houses in Topeka, before we went down to Wichita, and it played nothing like, I mean, you could recognize it barely from like a length of pattern, where the ball started responding standpoint. But what I ended up using and the look I thought I was going to have, it was nowhere close. It ended up just being a tune-up for, okay, just don't chuck it to the ditch and expect it to bounce like it does on a league shot. So it was more for that than learning anything about the pattern. And that's another thing that Brad was talking about last night is like, he went into the Smallwood match with, he said, too many preconceptions. He's like, you know what? This has been working for the last couple matches. It worked on this show. And he's like, all of a sudden it's different. And you have a little bit of practice on the lanes. And then you have one game to figure this out. And you only have so many shots. You have 5 shots on one lane and a max of 7 on the other lane to figure this out. And he's like, with so much history in the same building, on the same pair of lanes even, he's like, something was different. He's like, I just couldn't bring myself to commit to a change. And he's like, it doesn't matter. None of this stuff matters. He's like, you have to have a fresh outlook and a fresh mindset every single time you go in, no matter if it's to league or to a tournament or anywhere else. And the tournament, the place that we bowled at last night for the tournament, played like it's never played there before. And we bowl several tournaments there a year. Normally it's a higher friction center. Well, they put some extra oil down and it didn't play anything like what I expected it to do. And because I'd come in with a preconceived notion instead of, okay, well, I'm going to test this out. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this ball. I'm like, okay, well, this ball doesn't look good in this center. And this ball is going to be too much. It's going to be too strong, or this is going to be too much, whatever. And it just wasn't anywhere close. And at the end of the day, my preconceptions kind of ruined me for the tournament. And because I just could not commit to, well, this is what the lanes are actually doing right now. This is what I have to do right now. It's like, well, this doesn't happen like this. It shouldn't be happening like this. And it just does. It just does. You know, and if the PBA, again, on this with the same, with, you know, they keep the pins fresh. They have the same lane machine. They use the same oil. They were at the same center on the same pair of lanes. And if they can't replicate something, nobody else is going to be able to do it. And it's not because they aren't on top of it enough or they're lazy or anything. It's just because it's different. You know, things are going to be different day to day, and you have to roll with the punches. So through the long-winded explanation of I can't put everything on a video, I can't answer every question, nobody else can either. And so when I see comments like that about, well, you only bowled on this, you didn't bowl on this many patterns, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that, it's like, well, for those guys, some of that stuff, I mean, bowling is their job. So if you want to if they want to put a couple more patterns down, or if they want to, you know, show off a couple different layouts, that probably works better for them than it does for me. But I've got a day job, and we're part of the local association board, and we help run tournaments around here. And we do, occasionally I like to bowl. Occasionally I like to actually bowl myself. And so aside from what we're already doing, bowling in 2 different centers, and I might, if it's a strong ball like a Proton Physics, I might throw an extra pattern in there. We'll show it on the house shot because most people are going to be bowling on a house shot. I'm going to line up where I need to strike from, or where it works out from. And there's 2 major things that you can get out of a review, no matter how many patterns they put down. Because if I put down the 2019 national doubles and singles pattern, it does not look the same in any other building but Gage. So what you're looking for, so just because I get this certain kind of a look in this center doesn't mean that I'm going to use that same layout and I'm going to bowl on that same pattern in a different center and play the same part of the lane and try to do all the same things. It's not going to work out. It's not going to be the same. It might be close, but it's not going to be the same. So the major things that you can get out of or really the only things that you can get out of a review video is, number one, you can develop a relationship with what you see on the video for me or for Angel, and what you see out of the ball when you actually get it. You should be able to develop a relationship or some kind of familiarity that say, okay, well, they get this look and the balls, and when I get this same ball and do the same things, it's always stronger for me than it is for them, or it's weaker for me, or it's sharper, or it's smoother, or whatever else. So you can build some kind of consistent frame of reference for, okay, so if the idle synergy turns sideways for me down lane and everything's a little bit smoother for you, then you think, okay, well, that ball was just a little bit slower. That's what I'm actually going to get. And the other thing, I just had it in my head. I might have to come back to it, but consistent frame of reference. Oh, and then the comparison from ball to ball. And that's, again, going back to my rated series, that's what that's for. So you should be able to get the relationship between what I get and what you get, and then develop a relationship. Say, okay, if the idle synergy does this for him and it does this for me, and I want to compare it to like an idle pearl, well, I'll go look at the idle pearl and see what the comparison is between those two, and then establish the same relationship for me. So that's really all you can get out of a ball video. So despite different layouts and different patterns and different, whatever else, this focus, but I don't know that my face needs to be more in focus, but anyhow, so when people complain about, well, you only have 2 bowlers, or somebody else was complaining about, You can't rate urethane because you're not throwing it from the right point on the lane. And it's like, well, we lined up and we struck with where it was striking from, and it may not be the same for you. And just because she was playing third arrow with the fast pitch doesn't mean it's going to work out for everybody else. I mean, Chad McLean plays fifth arrow with the pitch purple at HQ, and that happens for literally nobody else. So review videos are good for only so much, and then everything else kind of gets ridiculous. And it's kind of hard to bridge the gap between, well, I want to make this certain video because it's going to get me a lot of views and it's going to, help out on the back end with kind of supporting the channel. And you know what? This is useless crap information that I don't want to get people relying on. And so it's kind of hard to make more technical videos or to do other things because, number one, they're incredibly hard to make because I can't make I've been sitting here rambling about one thing for 35 minutes already, and I can't put that all into, I didn't even explain it that great right here, and I definitely can't put it into a 5-minute video. I've tried several different times. There's other times where I've gone out and tried to film for videos, and it just hasn't worked out. It just doesn't look right on camera, and I'll go out and I'll throw stuff, and I'm like, well, it feels this way to me, and I'll write my review, and then I'll go back and look at the footage, and I'm like, well, this doesn't look like how it felt on film. Or I'll say, well, these two balls are really different, and then I'll look at them on the video, and it's like, I can't tell the difference. I really can't. And sometimes you can't tell the difference on a house shot. So you'll just have to trust what I'm talking to you about. But I mean, it just is what it is. And so I want to do more live streams like this because the other part of it is I'm stuck in the middle between being some just random bowler, and I have a pretty big following on here. I have a lot of people that watch, but when I go see other pros at tournaments, like we were in Tulsa last weekend, and there was all kinds of people. I mean, there was AJ Chapman was there, and Packy was there, and there's a bunch of guys that you haven't heard of yet. Brandon Biondo, Nick Summer, Briley Haw, the Lavery Spars were there. We always run into all kinds of people everywhere. And then, like I said, Brad Miller was there at the tournament last night, and Tom Hess, and Kevin Williams was there. And then we have all the local guys that just mow over stuff here anyway. But where was I going with that?
I don't know. I'm typing.
I have no idea what I was even talking about. Oh, never mind. All right. So happy Thanksgiving, Ken. Good to hear from you. But anyway, I'm kind of, when I walk in the building, I'm not just going to kind of randomly walk up to those guys thinking I'm hot stuff because I put ball commercials on YouTube. And so I'm kind of stuck in between, I'm just a regular bowler like everybody else. Now, to some regular people, meeting me is pretty cool, and I get people that come up to me all the time and say, hey, I love your videos and whatever else, and I'll talk to anybody because I'm not anybody special. I mean, if anybody with some bowling balls and a camera can put videos on YouTube, but I'm not just going to randomly walk up to a bunch of these pros and butt myself into their conversation because they're actually good bowlers. On YouTube, I can hit the reset button and throw it again. They don't let me do that in bowling tournaments or league, and that I think that's a bunch of crap, and I actually need to talk to somebody about that. But because if I don't strike when I'm shooting a video, I just hit the reset button and we keep going. So, and then depending on who you're talking about, I just edit all the non-strikes out. And had a guy complaining about that the other day, that on my Idle Synergy video, I literally did not leave a 7-pin during filming to even put on video. And he was saying, so, it must be a magic ball if it strikes all the time. It's like, well, I mean, no. And then I said, I didn't leave one to show. And then he said something else. And I said, well, I mean, you're judging You're basically attacking my integrity on watching one video out of like the 550 that I have uploaded. I think my Axiom video, I had more non-strikes in there than strikes. But I digress. So anyway, so that's why I'm going to do the coffee thing on Friday mornings. It's probably not going to be tomorrow morning because we're not going to do a whole lot of, we have one stop for Black Friday and it's normally not terribly crowded. What is this in my?
I think some of the ground stuff.
No, this cup for some reason the
graphic.
The graphics sliding off.
Got it.
Yes, Pete, thank you. That's the other thing that I've been telling people about is like I put together a video. I do edit a lot of shots out because I bowl probably 5 to 10 games when I get most of the time 30 to 45 minutes of film, throwing a shot every 30 seconds. And I can't obviously fit that all into a 4 or 5 minute video. So what I do is I try to cut out as many of the shots. Number one, I want to show you what it does on good quality shots, because if you throw a bad shot, the ball's not going to strike. And even if you see me get away with it, that's another thing that you can't tell on review videos. Just because I get away with a certain miss on a certain pattern at a certain center doesn't mean that it's going to happen that same way for you. It's like, oh, well, if he tugged that one and it sat there, that may not happen anywhere else on it. You may not have that tolerance or that specific thing at your specific center. So what I'm trying to do is show off the ball reaction as accurately as possible. And it's hard to do that when you're throwing terrible shots. And if I put good shots in there, that's what I try to put in there, is good execution. Most of the time, good execution is going to knock the pins over, because if I dump a ball, there's some places, there's some centers with the same ball where I can get away with dumping it one place where I can't get away with dumping it somewhere else. For example, the 2 leagues I bowl in, if I dump the ball at Westridge, which is in Topeka, which is one of the houses that I used to bowl at, it's going to be flat and it's probably not going to carry if it makes it to the pocket. Now, if I dump it in Lawrence on my Thursday night league, it's about a 50-50 shot depending on how bad it is. So it has nothing to do with the ball and everything to do with the center that I'm bowling in. So yeah, like you said, I want to show off. I am trying to show off the ball reaction as good as I can. I'm not obviously we've been down this road several times, and no matter how many videos HQ puts out that shows everybody striking on every single shot, you as the bowler and as the consumer know that does not happen. They're not trying to fool or trick you into thinking, oh my gosh, this is brand new technology that strikes even more than the last ball before it. No, you're smart enough to realize that that's not the way that it happens. They are trying to show off the ball reaction, and nobody wants to watch somebody on a video spray it all over the place, and just because they think that makes it a more honest video. It makes me itch. It just makes me itch.
Okay, move on to something good then.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Oh, Greg's on there?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. YouTube star. That was bowling famous. That's what I always wanted to be. I'm not trying to be a jerk or like whine or complain about stuff here, but I don't want to be the bowling commercial staffer hype guy that just tries to sell be like the salesman and sell everything to everybody. I want to help people as best as I can, bowl as well as they can. And a lot of the time the average league bowler kind of gets forgotten. And that was kind of the point here to begin with, was to, you have to have bowling balls to play the game. And sometimes, most of the time, people just buy new balls because it's fun. They've been using a ball for a while and they want to upgrade. They want to throw something different. They don't want to go to league and do the same old thing over and over again. And not everybody wants to be a professional either. And so when you're spending $200, $250, however much money on a bowling ball, you don't want to spend that much money on a ball and get it and then not have it work out for you. There was something else the other day. It's like somebody was asking me about, God, I'm disappointed in my UFO. It hits so flat. I drilled it 4x4x2 and I'm using it in league and it just won't carry. And I'm really disappointed. I'm like, well, you bought the strongest ball on the market, put a ridiculously strong layout on it, and then you're trying to throw it in league and it's not working. This is a problem. And that's one of those things that's like, well, I'm not even sure I can help here, because if you think that this was a good idea in the first place, either you're very inexperienced or you just don't quite get it yet or something. And I'm not trying to pick on anybody or rub it in, because I had same thing. Yeah. Vanities, spray it all over the place. I feel attacked. Yeah. If you go into Facebook, there's a great group called Bargain Bin Bowling Memes. And they had one where a guy was doing like a back alley deal, and it says, getting better at bowling, buys new ball, switch to left, buys new ball, does something else, and then switches to left-handed. I feel personally attacked there too, but and so at some level, it's like, okay, most people don't want to be pros. They go to bowling to have a couple beers and relax and have fun doing it. And if they want to go buy a new bowling ball and drag 8 into the center just to bowl league, that's fine, because that's what they want to do. That's how they enjoy it. And everybody else, there's a lot of other people that have to do, it's stupid. You should never need more than 3 balls. And, you should never need to take more than 2 balls to league. And this is ridiculous. And that's whatever else. It's like, well, it might be fun for them. And, we need people having fun bowling. That's kind of supposed to be the point. So, yes, you always come off as unbiased in videos, but do you have a favorite ball? I use the ProMotion a lot. I've actually been using the IQ Tornado Pearl a lot recently here too. But again, I have so many. There's so many that I don't get to throw.
Halo Burn, you're going to get to use
yes, I just plugged my Halo Burn. I'm going to get to use that again. That's kind of fun. But I have a lot of like phases downstairs, the overseas phases that I want to drill. But I have so many other balls that I like a lot. Like I haven't used my Astro in a while, and that's been really good. And so some of it's having too many bowling balls to be able to use them all. And so I don't want to put holes in something else just to not be able to use it. So yeah, throw whatever you want. Novel concept. Yeah, I know, right? And going back to it, maybe the guy, likes strong stuff. He likes strong layouts, and he just liked the way that the UFO looked, and he wanted to take it to league, and he's disappointed it's not working out. I'm going to help him. I answered the questions and tried to make it work out, but at the end of the day, it's probably just not the ball. I mean, I started out with my proton physics last night, and it looked decent, but I was playing the wrong part of the lane the wrong way, and so it just didn't quite work out. There was enough oil for it, but it just wasn't quite the right look, and I wasn't comfortable with it. And if I'd have gone back to it later, it might have worked out. But I wanted to use it, and that's kind of the case with a lot of those stronger balls. It's a great looking ball. It reacts great, but it's strong.
Became an official left-hander last night, throwing straight up 5.
Yeah, it was weird. It was supposed to be a house shot, and it's never. Again, going back to the nothing's ever the same thing. That place always plays dry. It always plays frictiony. I've said that will never take a phase 3 to Kansas City because that cover just doesn't like a lot of friction. It didn't hook enough last night. My phase 2 didn't quite hook enough last night, or it was a little too sharp. And so I ended up pointing it on a regular house shot where normally there's a bumper out there. I'm playing like straight up 4 or 5 with an IQ Tornado Pearl, just walking it in, and it's just foreign. I had a couple good games with it once I figured that out, and then my angles just got a little bit off the last game. It was a bad game for absolutely no reason, but my head kind of was defaulting back to, you can't do that. I was just so mentally uncomfortable with being able to lay the ball down on the 4 board on a house shot. Because if you do that on the right side of the lane, 20 years of experience on the right side of the lane, if it's taught me anything, is the boards from the gutter to the 5 board are unplayable. Just period. Think, all you righties out there, think of when you have ever been able to play 5 or right of 5 on anything. When has piping pitch black straight up 2 or 3 actually ever been in play? Even if you are playing straight on something with urethane, it's not straight up 2 or 3 because that's not where the track is most of the time. Now, on the left side of the lane, you don't, even on the left side of the lane, you don't play straight up 4 on a house shot. And then if you have 20 years worth of righty nonsense in your head, you don't play straight up 4 or 5 on a house shot with anything at any point, at any time, ever. And I did that at Swiss Trios a couple months ago with urethane, but that was more comfortable because it was hooking early and then it was laying off. But I'm doing that on a house shot where normally there's a crap load of friction out there. And I could not get my head to be comfortable with it long enough. Once I kind of I shot 270 game 5 and kind of got myself back in the conversation. And then I started trying to execute, I guess, and my angles just got a little bit off and it was a disaster, but whatever.
Was it good?
But anyway.
Caribbean asked if you more favorite to the Astro or the No Rules Pearl.
That's a really tough one. Focus camera. Camera focus camera. Okay. That's really difficult because they both do different things. And fun fact, if you're missing your No Rules Pearl, shine up an Omega. And that's going to be really close. The No Rules Pearl controlled the lane a little bit more, but the Astro is, I think James would answer this and say that the Astro, you can just trust it. You can get out of it clean, you can get out of it firm, and it's going to finish. Stuff like that, the rounder nature of the No Rules Pearl and stuff like the Omega is going to keep you out of trouble more. So the Astros, when you've got a little bit of room to work with, and it's even pretty good on tougher stuff too if you take the shine off of it. But it's more for when there's bigger scoring in play, and something like an Omega Crux is for when they're tighter, tougher, or you just have a whole lot of hand. So that's really hard to nail that down. All right, so next thing. So once again, I'm going to be having coffee on Friday mornings and doing some kind of a chat thing like this. And I'm sorry that I'm kind of basically ignoring the chat, but I had some stuff I wanted to talk about. And so I'm going to start Friday mornings, I think at probably like 8 o'clock. If you can make it cool, if you can't, whatever. I can't make all the... the Storm has the morning bolts and the other stuff, and I can't make the vast majority of it. And occasionally I like to kind of relax a little bit too. It gets pretty busy, but that's again my video thing. So I'm going to try to, the rated thing again was a way to not make so many redundant videos, for you to kind of answer a lot of your own questions. And like I said, if
You're teaching people how to fish.
yeah, instead of giving fish, I'm trying to teach people how to fish. Even though I don't fish that great myself. But anyway, what I would like people to do before they ask a question is, like, if I'm in the middle of a tournament and don't have him standing behind me to ask the question to, how am I going to figure this out myself? I think a lot of it's more from the younger crowd, actually, that's just more apt to, if they don't know something, they just Google it, or they get on YouTube and find a video for it. And when a lot of things could be solved by common sense, is like, well, if you just stop and think about how this thing actually functions, you don't need a YouTube video for it. You don't need to Google it. Just a little bit of common sense and logic will help you figure it out. And so when you're actually out there bowling on the lanes and you don't have anybody to ask a question to, you're going to either have to figure it out yourself or you're going to suck. And that's just it. And so I would appreciate, it would make me happier for somebody to, to help somebody figure stuff out on their own. So I'm not going to make a bunch of spammy, endless comparison videos. I'm going to do the review. I've kind of pared back the reviews instead of having two different. And that's why I started doing a lot of this stuff in the first place, is because it was good for views. And if that's not something I should admit, then whatever. But I just did. So, but it's super, super tough because there's a whole lot of hands held out, and there's a lot of mouths to feed in the bowling industry, and there's not enough to go around for everybody. Nobody gets in the bowling industry to get rich. There's a lot of time that goes into this, a lot of money that goes into it. And sometimes you got to do some stuff to keep the boat afloat. I do have some like merchandise stuff now. The Panda Pack patches and the Heckin' Urethane hoodies and t-shirts are doing pretty good so far. So that's nice and that's encouraging.
What's
but
the website?
Luke.bowlinglabs.com or store.bowlinglabs.com to go for the Panda Pack patches, and I will talk about that in a minute.
I was gonna put the.
Oh yeah. So I never wanted to be some YouTube personality or to have my own merchandise to keep the boat afloat, but it is what it is. And if there's some people that enjoy it, and I've been kind of slow rolling this thing so that we actually have something that makes some kind of sense, and just instead of just putting merchandise out there to try to milk money out of people. People like the Heckin' Urethane thing. It's funny. We do the rescue dog thing, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second because we've got another kind of fundraiser coming up, but we got some cool stuff that we're going to do. What up, big man? I'll show that. I don't know why it still miss the funny reviews. And that's the other thing that sucks, is that people get butthurt about the funny stuff. They get butthurt when it's not like 7 different patterns at 8 different centers and a case worth of layouts and surfaces and whatever else for both me and her. And it's like, well, I don't know how much money you think that I have, or how much stuff you think that they're going to send me, or how much time you think I have to put all this into a video when it doesn't really matter anyway. So if you think that matters in the first place, or if you think all that stuff matters for you watching a video, it doesn't. It will make a difference for you actually bowling. But as far as me showing you what it's going to do, a video, once again, is for basic ball motion and for you to develop a relationship between what it looks like for me and what it looks like for you, and then to develop a relationship from one ball to another ball. That's literally all reviews are good for. And there's a lot of stuff that I stopped doing because it wasn't very popular. And if I can spend 30 minutes making a video that gets 5,000 views and 30 minutes making a video that gets 1,000 views, I'm going to pick the 5,000 view video every time, just because it gets me more YouTube revenue, which is not a whole lot to begin with. But again, when so much time and so much money goes into this, I have to look at the return sometimes. A lot of stuff in bowling is already a labor of love, and it's already going to be upside down anyway. But it's very, very hard to justify all the time and all the money and whatever else. And so anyway, that is what it is. But so the Panda Pack patches, if you go to now that I just said all that nonsense, I'm going to send you to my website to buy my stuff. The Panda Pack patches came from, we do rescue dog stuff. If you're listening or watching here right now and have subscribed recently and enjoy watching a ginger drink coffee and ramble on a holiday. Oh, hi from Melbourne, Australia. See, I always love when I have met a lot of cool people from a lot of cool places. So
That's probably the coolest thing that you like.
oh yeah.
Just
Australia, Philippines, Indonesia. YouTube is global. It goes everywhere. Fun
that's
fact.
probably my favorite part, is going to different tournaments or people messaging you from all over the world.
Yeah, that's all. Oh yeah, Gaz is in here too. Yep.
Hey, cool.
So anyhow, so the Panda Pack, the stuff, the merchandise that I actually have is not to milk money out of everybody. The Heckin' Urethane thing is funny. And so that was just something that happened organically. The Panda Pack patch thing is something that happened organically too. So if you go, hello from Arizona, that's still exotic. I don't know. I have a friend in Arizona. But anyway, luke.bowlinglabs.com or store.bowlinglabs.com. Evan Raffini.
I put the link up there if they are still in the chat.
Yeah. If you're in the chat, she put it in the chat to go look at the stuff. If you want it, cool. If not, cool. It's there's other people that complain about that too, is about my Patreon site and saying, well, I'm not going to pay for this stuff. It's like, okay, then don't pay for it. It's there for people that want it. And if you don't want it, it's fine. It helps me out a little bit. And if you want a little bit extra access, then that's cool too. It's whatever floats your boat. People act like I'm going to get mad at them or that I'm trying to milk money out of people. And it's like, no, I mean, if you want to help support this, that's cool. If you want to just keep watching and, hitting the like button or something, that's cool too. I mean, everybody that watches helps. So the Panda Pack patch thing came from, we have rescue dogs. One of them staring at me and the other one's finishing her ear. But we foster for a rescue organization in Kansas City called Positive Tails. And we've done 5 or 6 rescues, and we've done 5. And then the 2 that we own 2 of them that we got from Paws Crossed, who she kind of dissolved, and she's in with Positive Tails now. And
she actually is the one that talked us into doing our first one, Roxy.
Yeah. So she's who got us into fostering in the first place. We have a couple foster dogs. Panda Pack thing, it works out. And so you buy the patch. $1 goes to the rescue itself, and then there's an optional thing to donate more to the rescue if you want to. And then back in May for my wife's birthday, we had kind of a fundraiser where I gave a ball away for every so many dollars raised, and every $10 donated was an entry towards the drawing. And so it was a lot of fun. We raised a couple $1,000s for the rescue. That's our lane. We're going to stay in it. There's other people that do all kinds of things, like the Ballards do great things for supporting cancer societies and things. There's all kinds of people who do all kinds of stuff. The dog rescue thing is just our lane. So anyhow.
Spread the love.
Yeah. So we're going to do another one of those. Right now, it's tentatively scheduled for December 19th. There's a lot of people that buy puppies and dogs and whatever else for their kids or for themselves. They see a cute little husky puppy and think that it's going to be fine. They get it for Christmas, and then 2 weeks later, it's crazy because huskies are crazy. And then they go dump it off at a shelter. And so around the 1st of January, throughout January, the rescues really get inundated with a bunch of rescue dogs, and
the shelters get overloaded.
Yeah, the shelters get overloaded. So either if it's a no-kill shelter, then they have to, try to get rescues to pick up the dogs, and they're just overloaded to begin with, and rescues are already packed most of the time. And if it's a kill shelter, then it gets to, if a dog runs out of days, it goes. So there's definitely extra funds needed in January for rescue dog groups and whatever else. And so we're going to do the same type of thing.
Oh, the other part, the Lance Tucker Memorial Fund.
Oh, well, you explain that. You know about that better.
Okay. The Lance Tucker, Lance actually was Crystal's. Am I on your phone? I'm sorry.
Crystal was
Crystal's the main of the Positive Tails. And her son passed away in March.
It was earlier this year. It was before the virus stuff.
Yes. And he had this huge heart as far as, well, if a family's going through something, why do they have to give up their dog if they can't afford it, basically? So the fund was started to, if we're in a bad position and all of a sudden one of our dogs find out we have cancer, and they need help. We're like, we really love our dogs. We just don't have the $2,000 to go through whatever it is.
Yeah, they help a lot with funds.
They basically fundraise, and they will, if the person says, I've got $500, the rescue out of this particular fund will donate the other $1,500 for that dog to be spared and to stay with the family. And so with all of the COVID and people losing their jobs, that fund has been depreciated quite a bit, but they've helped probably 30 dogs already since it started. The fund was started as when, instead of sending like memorials for him or sending gifts or flowers or whatever else.
Let me put a rescue dog up here. Let me get my Hello Kitty blanket, which is amazing, by the way.
She knows if there's a blanket, she can get up. So
yep, she can get up. So we're gonna come here, rescue dog.
Come here,
Mistles. Come here, baby. Oh, yep. Okay. Hi, baby Mistles.
You can
all right, turn the camera.
Yeah. There you go.
If that actually focuses. Hi five. Yep. This is the Mistles. This is Mistletoe. She was our first rescue dog.
She was actually either dumped or born in a sewer drain. So she had no human interaction at all. And the rest, Paws Cross was who found her. Carrie actually took her and rehabbed her and taught her basically that humans are not terrible. And we adopted her then after that. And so if we go on long trips and she needs to be boarded anywhere, Carrie actually takes her back and they watch her for us.
You smiles.
It's a Toofus.
Yep.
Yes.
So anyhow, we're doing this tentatively scheduled for December 19th. We have a tournament that day, so
but it's closer, and we should be done at home.
It's close, and we should be done at home and home in time. You want down Meastles? You getting hot? Okay.
Go ahead, babies.
There you go, Meastles. Good Meastles. Okay. So anyhow, December 19th is the tentative date. It might be the 20th. It's probably going to be the 19th.
Everybody's used to Saturday, so it'd be better.
Yeah. Most people are used to Saturday. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go, I think we've got a lot more stuff, or we're going to have some stuff to give away. Tish Johnson is going to send us some stuff like a signed pen and some other stuff.
Mr. Bill actually worked on it. You've seen him in the chat before. He's asked her, don't know that we don't have it in hand. We haven't seen confirmation yet from her, but she's just fabulous. And so if she says she's going to do something, she's most likely going to do it. It's just a matter of when and what we're getting. Not 100% sure.
Yeah. I don't know if I could foster a dog. I get too attached. There's a couple of them that we had. Roxy, there's a couple of them that are not really our type of dogs. Like we like the cattle dogs, huskies, Shelties,
we like the dogs
like
that are very difficult. Or that kind of had quirky personalities that take a little bit more work than what an average person would want.
Yeah, so we're not like lab people, but Rocco, the lab that we had, was awesome. And then we had Bandit, was a little lab mix, and he was pretty cool too. But anyway, we were able to secure a couple things last night. This is a signed Brad Miller pen. So we got Brad to sign this last night. Like I said, he's from the Kansas City area. He's a really cool guy. Like I said, he just kind of sat down and chatted everybody up for a little while last night after the tournament. Tom Hess is also in the area too, and he won the 2011 Masters tournament over Jack Jurek, and that was a very impressive tournament. Tom's he's one of these guys that's got this classical old form that just knows how to get pins down. And he's an old school bowler too. So he'll cut up and talk to anybody. He's not pretentious. He's not, he's just another great guy that just comes and hangs out. When he walks in the building, it's like, okay, well, he's probably going to take my money, but he's not, oh crap, Tom Hess is here or anything. He just hangs out with everybody. Brad does the same thing too. So we got a couple pins to give away. I think Tish was going to talk to Carolyn Doran Ballard and see if she can have Carolyn and Dell send anything. Carolyn's my turbo rep, so I could probably.
Yeah, you're going to do that.
I could. Yeah, definitely not. You've seen my 30 clean videos. I'm definitely not.
So it's going to be the same fundraiser though, as far as $10 per entry. We'll have it set up to do PayPal or Venmo. I got Venmo added this time.
Bark. What's bark?
Neighbors are out.
Oh, be nice, puppies. You don't even know what you're barking at. You can't see nothing.
But for every $10, we'll get you an entry. Just send money, and it's the straight $10. So if you accidentally click and you do goods and services, I'm going to reject it. I'm just going to send it back to you. because we want the $10, all of it to go there. We're not sending you a goods and service. We don't want something to come back basically saying, well, I bought this through goods and services. You didn't send me my product. Like, no, that's not the deal. This is a donation. So if you're using PayPal, please send friends and family. And then for every 500, once we get to the first 500, we'll draw a number. It won't be immediate, but we'll draw all the numbers at the end, and an item will be given away.
So,
and then also, if we get up to like $3,000 and we don't have enough prizes to donate that we haven't collected, you will get a Stormer Roto ball of your choice.
yeah, we'll throw some balls in there. But last time we just did bowling balls, but we're probably going to do some balls and some bags, and we'll have some of the pins to give away. And
if you choose to do we want to do a choice? I don't think we've talked about that.
Yeah, we still have some details to work out. It's probably going to be one of those things where we'll draw a number and we'll say, okay, we got this stuff to give away. What do you want? That'd be a little hard to.
Well, the only thing that I worry about is if they're not watching the stream at that moment.
Yeah. It might be a little hard to figure out. We might draw, say, okay, well, like Nick Brown does it, and say, okay, the first couple numbers we're going to draw are for the balls. The next couple numbers are for some bags. The next couple numbers are for the signed pins, or
okay, that would work,
or whatever else, and we'll just work it that way. So
yeah, and if you like for the pins, I'm thinking to do a chamois and a Panda Pack patch, and we on a live stream he did probably 6 months ago now. We opened a bunch of PBA cards, so we have all of these open PBA cards, but we've never done anything with them. Yeah. So I thought about getting some of the clear plastic card holders, and actually so you get a signed bowling pin and you get some PBA cards, and then those are yours to do with, obviously.
So yeah, it's not. So yeah, but that's the thing we're doing for the rescue dogs. And once again, you can support whatever, and to get the Panda Pack patch. Like I said, it automatically sends $1 straight to the rescue for every patch we sell, and then there's a link on there to donate extra too. So that helps if you want to do that. The patches are pretty cool too, and they're large. They're not like these tiny little. They're like the old like patches that they're bigger than the patches they used to give out from like the ABC, WIBC, YABA. If you've been around that long. I will show them off once we get them. He actually just got the hoodies in, and we're getting some patches, and then a couple of the Heckin' Urethane shirts. We have shirts now. I started out with the hoodies, and there was a lot of people that said, well, I'd like to wear this while I'm bowling. And so we have some like dry wick cotton blends that you can, a t-shirt that you can wear, a Heckin' Urethane t-shirt you can wear while you're bowling. But anyway, that's the story on that. So I think I've pretty well covered everything. Let me answer some questions here. My brother got an autograph from Brad when he was at the OC. Yeah, Brad's super cool, is very approachable. Love the rated videos, very user friendly, and that was the idea. The idea was to, and this is something that instead of having the endless comparison videos, and if I happen to pick some certain ball that gets compared to a lot of stuff, like I might compare the Astro Physics to an Idol Synergy, and then to an RSTX1, and then to an Omega Crux, and whatever else, if it compares to several different things, and I'd make several individual comparison videos for all this stuff, and so many of these things just are recurring and show back up. And so if I get something in the bank on YouTube, so to speak, it's something that you don't have to wait for comparison videos. It's something that you can go grab right away. It's something I might even have linked at the end of the video if I think it's a relevant comparison. And even if it's off the wall stuff, if you want to go check out. So I tried to make it as user friendly as possible. Plus it saves me a crap load of time too. So, and there's something that's always up there that's consistent that you can go back to. So it's not like I say some certain things in this comparison about the ball that I don't mention in this other comparison. So I came up with a formula with a template and whatever else that just happens to work. Focus camera. Might be the lighting. The lighting is not great, but I don't know that you want to see my face in any more focus than it already is. Having my balls all switched to interchangeable thumbs, Vicid or Turbo, it differs depending on who you're talking about or who you're talking to. The turbos are simpler if something goes wrong, but at the same time, you'll want the switcheroo and the jack, because if you go to say it's hot one day and then cold the next and whatever else, it can get stuck down in there just because the ball swells a little bit and puts pressure on the outside of the sleeve, and there's contact all the way down in the turbo system, and so it can be a pain trying to get that back out sometimes. And anything mechanical like that is prone to failure. The failure rate, I think, has been greatly lowered on the turbo stuff. The Vice has a lot more working pieces. I don't like their slugs because they're really tacky. But I'm a turbo guy, so I'm going to say that anyway. But before I was a turbo guy, I tried it and wasn't that big of a fan. So I don't really like either interchange. I don't like any of the interchangeable systems because it seems like somebody's always having a problem with them. I had one, the tabs on the bottom got a little worn, and I had a thumb come halfway out of the ball at Nationals one time, and I stepped on the lane, and my hand's hanging like that, and the slug's halfway out, and so I had to pry my hand out of that, and that wasn't a whole lot of fun. So, hello, Malcolm. So anyway, so that's that. The coffee chats are going to happen hopefully every Friday, unless we have something going on. But as soon as she leaves for work on Friday, I'll turn this on. Now that I know how this actually works, I got a webcam. This works out pretty good, and I can just sit here with my different mugs and drink some coffee and have some real chats about stuff. That's what I kind of miss, because even though we just sat down for like 10 or 15 minutes just chatting with Brad about the stuff that goes on out on tour, it's all fascinating. And I would like to talk about more interesting, relevant, important things than just endless ball comparisons or endless ball stuff. And again, I don't want to be that staffer guy, YouTube ball commercial guy.
The point was to help bowlers, not just.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's a fine line to walk when you obviously want to promote the videos, and you do to draw the eyes and draw the attention, like just the thumbnails on YouTube. If they're just kind of more simpler, if they're just kind of more basic and simpler, they don't really catch people's eyes, and people aren't going to click on the video. So it doesn't matter how good the video is if nobody clicks on it because you have a boring thumbnail. Then nobody's going to get to the information inside. But if you go too far the other direction and jazz it up too much, and there's some people that say, well, I don't want a whole bunch of production. I just want to see a ball going down a lane. I just want to hear about the ball. I want to see all this production value advertisement nonsense. And it's like, well, you can't have it both ways. I mean, sometimes you have to do the typical advertising marketing thing, because that's, they put a lot of time. Companies put a lot of time and effort into figuring out what makes people tick, what draws their eyes, what draws their attention. And so you have to use some of that. You have to go with some of that. So there has to be some kind of production value. There has to be some kind of something. But at the end of the day, then you have to back that up with substance. Some people misinterpret it. Some people misread it. And then like I said, whenever I make a video that's a little bit off the beaten path, a lot of people aren't interested in it. And it kind of sucks to put a bunch of effort into a video and then to have nobody watch it. Like the 30 Clean episodes were a bunch of fun, but they were a whole lot of setup. It took pretty well an entire day. I'd go down and most of the time I'd have the interviews at like 11 o'clock or noon or something, but I'd go down at 8 and I'd start setting everything up. I'd get everything ready for the video. And then I'd have the conversation, and then I'd spend the next couple hours. Number one, the video had to download, and then I had to trim it up, and then I'd have to render it Then I'd have to get it up on YouTube and get everything finished up, and then it'd get like 2,000 views. And it's hard to want to spend the time, spend the entire day on doing stuff like that, just to have it not really get me a whole bunch on the backside. And like I said, you don't get into bowling stuff for what you're going to get back for it. You do it because you're genuinely interested in it and you enjoy it. And not to sound like the 2,000 people that watched and enjoyed that video, not to say, well, you're not that important because there's not more of you. But at the same time, you kind of have to look at it from that. If I'm spending so much of my time and so much of my money promoting stuff for everybody else, and I can't even get enough back out of it to keep the boat afloat. I mean, if somebody offered you a full-time job and said, okay, well, here's going to be a couple $1,000s worth of product and a couple $1,000, but you have to work nights and weekends and holidays, and you have to buy all your own equipment, and it's all on your own time and dime, then it's like, well, gosh, I'd really love to do this, but at the same time, you can't make it work. There's a lot of people that would love to quit their jobs and do stuff for like dog rescues or to help people out or to whatever else, but you have to pay the bills and you have to keep the boat afloat. There's just some things that you have to do, and just saying to somebody, well, you didn't drill 4 different balls with 4 different layouts and bowl on, 8 different conditions and at how many different centers. And, I wish the video was longer. I wish the video was shorter. I wish you'd feature more people in it, or I wish you'd do that and whatever else. It's like at some certain point, it's not possible. It's not doable. And to keep the channel afloat and to continue to do all this stuff, I've got to jazz some stuff up. I have to make some videos that just generate some views. I have to sell heckin' merchandise. And I mean, that's what it is. And I'm just being as honest as I can be. But, for somebody like Darren Tang, who does it for a living, his videos are going to look better than mine. He's going to have access to more stuff than I do. He's going to have more time to put into it to begin with. So, that just is what it is, and I'm doing the best that I can, and I appreciate everybody that enjoys that. And
and the more subs you've grown, I mean, back when you were 2,000, 4,000, 6,000 subs, the comments you get are this way, but now you're 13,500 almost. So you get that many more people in there watching. You're going to get that many more opinions and comments. And it's a lot more work compared. I mean, when you could spend 15 minutes a day doing comments before, and now you can't.
Yeah. So, yeah, being self-employed is way more expensive than people realize I am. Yes, my brother and sister-in-law are actually self-employed. They own a brewery here in town with a couple of friends of theirs. And, at first it was like, well, there's 4 of us, will hire some people and whatever else. And now they have a restaurant because it was more important than they realized it was. There's a lot of times, and when I'm traveling on the road for work, there's a lot of times where, we try out a bunch of different breweries, but if they don't have food there too, it's like, well, we're going to have to go eat somewhere, and then we're going to have to, or not have to, but we're going to have to go eat somewhere and, go a couple different places, because we don't want to just get off work and go have some beers and not eat anything. That's not intelligent. But, so with all the stuff that goes into marketing the business, advertising the business, taking care of just making the product good to begin with, and then getting people in the door and dealing with employees and whatever else, it's so hard. There's so much stuff that goes into it. And you wouldn't think that, HQ takes great care of me when it comes to the equipment side of things. If I need something for, they send us the balls to drill and throw. And there's a lot of people, oh, you're so lucky to get all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's great to have my own press out in the garage. And when new balls come out, they just, we just get them when they ship them to us. And, they take care of some other stuff, some bags and some other balls and some I've got kind of a decent budget to work with, and so that's a lot of the reason the videos happen is because they keep me, in business on the equipment side. And it's like, oh man, well, I could do this if I got free stuff too and whatever else. It's like, well, I mean, when it's basically a full-time job, I mean, when you go work at your job, they give you free money too. All you have to do is show up and work for it. So it's not exactly, when it's basically a full-time gig to get these videos done and answer questions and then, be on social media all the time and whatever else. It's not free stuff. It's
there's
not
an
free
hourly
stuff.
rate in there that is not.
So
Time is money. The amount of time that you have put in to go and film and make the videos is an awful lot of time. And then nobody funded the camera. Nobody funded the computer.
Yeah.
But we care enough and we want to do this enough that we've done it.
yeah. And not everybody's going to understand it. Not everybody's going to be happy with it, but I mean, it is what it is. And it bugs me to put this much this much effort into stuff and to get those random negative comments, but I get one negative comment for like every 500 positive ones. So I'm just a negative Nancy or negative Karen. I guess Nancy's not the thing anymore. It's Karen. So negative Karen doesn't quite have the ring to it, but Karen is in and Nancy is out. So, yeah.
It's a crazy Karen.
So anyway,
You're going to hate. Tobias, you nailed it.
Yeah, it's harder than it seems, and it's the passion that drives it. And so it's nice to be able to go when I'm going to a tournament or going to league, it's nice to be able to go downstairs and just grab whatever I feel like grabbing because I've got everything. But at the same time, it makes it really tough when I'm trying to pack 6 balls for a tournament and I've got 18 that I really want to take or that I really want to throw. It's like, okay, well, no, that one's going to have to stay at home. And then people will ask me, well, why didn't this ball come? It's like, well, I couldn't bring the entire basement. I just couldn't bring the entire basement. I could have, but I'm not going to wheel in 20 bowling balls. It's not going to happen. But again, so it is what it is. So yes, I do. My wife put that in the chat. I do appreciate everybody a whole bunch. It makes it a whole lot nicer to get, when you put a video up and you get all kinds of positive comments and likes and everything else, and that kind of keeps your bowling ball addiction going. Also, this is a local thing, but if we can zoom in on it, Panda Pack. This is a different logo from the patches, but we have Panda Pack tumblers here that we have gotten for...
That's on the Patreon side.
That's on the Patreon side, and there's several different colors. But that's for our Patreon Discord group members and some such thing. Yeah, that's the thing is I'm not trying to get on here and whine and moan and act like it's all this bad thing and whatever else and try to milk a bunch of positive comments and whatever else out of people. But there is a reality that I want to operate more in the, come on, focus camera, focus.
You screwed it up.
Yeah, I know. I put the Panda Pack thing up there, so I'll just stick my face obnoxiously close and
there it goes.
But anyhow, so that's kind of going to be the point. I'm going to have a topic every week that I want to kind of talk about. And some of it's going to sound like whining, but it's really just trying to throw the curtain back on. I've had an idea that I wanted to do for a long time for a video series called Thinkin' Drinkin'. Just, you get to having a couple beers and then you start thinking about something and but I'm going to drink coffee instead.
But you've now become a coffee aficionado.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's just, or when you're having a couple beers with friends and you're just sitting around having conversations about stuff, you tend to be a little bit more honest about stuff. And that's the direction that I kind of want to trend. I don't want to be the staffer shill salesman, ball commercial guy that just seems like I'm trying to say that everything's the newest and the best and trying to sell everything and, brown nose to keep my contract or anything like that. I want to talk about some real stuff. So, because that's the most fun stuff to talk about. And, I never wanted to be the ball review guy. I'd like to actually go out and do well at tournaments and be able to, hang out with these better bowlers because we actually have something in common instead of, oh, well, I mean, you're a YouTube guy that thinks you're special because you put ball videos on YouTube. Congratulations on that. Yeah, similar to when I DJ, there's always one douche canoe in the crowd. Yeah, there's some people that just want to be contrarian to be contrarian. I really wanted to say something to those couple people on Darren Tang's videos because there's literally nothing wrong with his Proton video. It's very well edited. It's very well made. It's clear. He talks about some different stuff that you don't hear on normal ball videos. So I would encourage you to go check out Darren Tang's Proton Physics video. And he's got a pretty good Twitch following too. So he just gets content creation and interaction and whatever else. And there's still people complaining about it. It's like, well, you didn't bowl on 4 patterns like some of these other videos and whatever else. And I wanted to defend him. I wanted to get on there and say something, but that's not really my place. And I complain too much anyway, but thanks for the support. Thanks for hanging out. Getting on a live stream and rambling is also a hell of a lot easier than making a video too. So I appreciate everybody hanging out with me on Thanksgiving Turkey Day. And like I said, I'll get more information out there about the Positive Tails fundraiser. Once again, luke.bowlinglabs.com, store.bowlinglabs.com. You can find the Heckin' Urethane stuff and the Panda Pack patches and support stuff that way, or we'll have some other stuff to give away with I don't know if you can really call it a giveaway of people sending in donations to enter the drawings. I don't know, whatever. But that's the direction things are. Yeah, the fundraiser. But that's the direction that everything's.
Well, in addition to the stream, it's not just going to be the fundraiser. You're going to have James Shimrecker.
Yeah, James is going to be on with me. I'm going to try to talk some other special guests into coming on. Probably not going to happen.
Well, in addition,
but I will see.
The discussion you guys are doing is what it's leaning as a wrap up of 2020.
Oh yeah, so that's what we're going to do with that during the fundraiser. So it's not just rambling on about dogs the entire time. James and I are going to do a wrap up of 2020, all the bowling balls that came out, which our favorites were, which we didn't maybe like so much or get along with so much.
Probably
some of the balls that
ones that were before.
Yeah, the ones.
Releases that you're still throwing.
Yeah, the ones that got discontinued, like the ProMotion that I'm terribly salty about. I even my righty one, I've been used, as soon as it came out, it went with me literally everywhere the entire time. There was a lot of times I threw it and threw it at spares and whatever else. It was all beat to hell, but I drilled a new one lefty and then they discontinued it. I found an extra couple. I'm getting another couple for Christmas, so I'm going to have a case in the basement. And the righty one was starting to crack around the fingers and whatever else. I'm like, well, I'm just going to throw this away. And I'm like, I can't throw away a ProMotion. I just can't. And so I plugged it and re-drilled it. Or I haven't re-drilled it yet. I plugged it. It looks fantastic. I cleaned it up. And so it's back in the... It's going to be back in action. And I'm going to have 6 ProMotions at my disposal. But yes, the coffee chats, even if you watch them on the back end, if nobody wants to wake up and listen to a ginger ramble at a camera at 8:00 in the morning on a Friday, or if you're in Australia, I don't even know what time that is in Australia, but
it's a good thing.
I will drink coffee and probably say a bunch of stuff I shouldn't say, but
no, because then your wife's going to get mad.
Yeah. Well, no, a bunch of, again, I don't. I want to get back to kind of what the channel was to begin with, instead of trying to milk views out of people to keep the boat afloat. I'm not saying I try to give useful information, but there's always a bunch of ideas that I come up with and say, well, I think that this would be a popular video. It's not it's not a necessary video, but I think it would be a popular video.
I think the one you had the most fun and you laughed about for weeks was your Rick rolls.
That was, and everybody hated it. That's the funny thing, is that I would put on there, you know, early footage of this ball, and I had the Rickroll video, the Rick Astley video, and people got salty and butthurt about it. Or the other ones where I would kind of, you know, make little promo videos for stuff, and it was too advertisey or too hypey or whatever else.
Like some
and
disturb music to something. Or
yeah, I did the High Road X. That was actually an Easter egg in a video.
Your brother just
Oh.
you.
My brother is watching my video. Interesting. Saw him at Thanksgiving a little while ago, and I was actually just talking about you. About the whole Norseman thing and how hard it is to...
But your brother just got on here and commented on
Mhm.
your YouTube video. So
Forget the
just
haters.
got your ass whooped.
If I had an epic beard and like shaved my head and had a little ponytail thing too,
No, you could not pull that off.
I could definitely not pull that off. My brother can pull it off. My sister-in-law can pull it off. Oh, she sans the beard. My sister-in-law does not have a beard.
Yeah. Brony tail. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah.
No, he would look like a donkey's butt.
Yeah. Meastal.
It would be the...
Hi, baby.
And she's shaking the entire trigger.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Hi, Meastles. Yes, hi, Meastles. I know. You hate cameras. When they pulled her out of the sewer drain, that's the first thing that they did, is they had cameras on her all the time. And so she was very wary and scared and nervous and whatever else. And so she has still never forgotten the camera fright. So,
Yeah.
Oh, baby. High five. Yes. Uh-huh. Hashtag rescue dogs. Oh, man. Bruce is in here too. Yeah, Adam watching is like Luke brewing beer. Yeah, he did. I mean, he's probably just bored and saw I was on YouTube. Not bored. He can't be bored. He's way too busy to be bored. This is like a rare thing where, you know, random holidays he gets 5 minutes
him
off.
in the middle of his food coma naps.
Yeah. So he actually got a few hours off for like the third time all year, probably, and he'll make up for it the next first Friday. But anyway, if you are in Topeka, Kansas, or you ever just want an excuse to come in here, they have a restaurant now, like I was talking about earlier.
Video games.
Yeah.
What the crap?
Oh, you're playing video games. Heck yeah. But yeah, so Norseman Brewing Company. The food is fantastic. The beer is fantastic. The chai tea beer. You've never had a chai tea beer before, and it's ridiculous.
I think we're probably going there tomorrow. Like, I need my potato.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're gonna have to. We haven't been there in like a week and a half.
I need my potato.
And so, yeah, she's gonna have to get a potato. I'm gonna have to get the goat cheese balls.
But you have to give up one this time.
Probably.
Last time you did not give up.
Yeah, I just ate all the goat cheese balls. Last time she said, "Well, I want one of those," and I just got on a roll and ate them all. So.
Yeah.
And then the cheesecake, and they have all
Korean in here.
Yeah, they have all kinds of everything else. I'm Korean, watching you. Well, I drilled a Halo Pearl 2 days ago, and it's really good. Yes, I still have one in the basement. I like mine quite a bit.
But you probably won't be drilling that one.
Motive Lou, yeah. What's up, man? Happy Thanksgiving. And another thing that always amazes me is that people who English is not the first language for are usually better at speaking it than people who it is a first language for. Fun fact. English-speaking people, step your game up. By the way. So, all right. Well, this was just kind of a random impromptu thing. I got a webcam and was not getting it worked out very well, but now I find out that it actually works, and it's a whole lot simpler than the setup I have in the basement. The setup I have in the basement, especially when I do one of those 30 clean videos is I have the camera sitting directly behind the laptop.
Camcorder camera. Like
Yeah,
it's the view,
camcorder.
like a whole tripod.
And so then I have one laptop. I have the laptop that's recording it. I have the laptop that has my information on it. And then I have the laptop that, whatever else. And then I have the TV in the background that's hooked. Oh, the TV in the background that's hooked up to the Zoom feed that's on this laptop. And so I have 3 laptops sitting there. I have a camcorder sitting in the back. I have my TV up behind me. Then I have a speaker that's sitting in front of the laptop that I have that all hooked up to. And then I have my streaming, I have my streaming apparatus stuff.
Put your paws up.
Yeah, don't trip over anything. Come here, Bear Bear.
Paws
Come here, Bear Bear.
Come
Yeah,
here.
she's not going to put her paws up. She's
Come here.
just... Come here.
Paws
Come here, Bear. Yeah, she's trying to jump up.
Okay, here.
So,
Just let me sit here.
all right.
Okay, come here. Come now. Come here. Oh, no.
Feel like we're on the Discord group. Yeah.
Come here.
Yeah. Bear Bear.
Come here. Pause.
Bear Bear.
Pause. Come here. I know you want to
I know. This is the panda of Panda Pack, and she's thrilled to be being held. You can see
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Like,
done.
nope, we're done here.
All right. Thank you, Panda. Thank you, Panda. Thank you, Panda. You can have a treat.
Yes, Jack. That's another good point. Is that when people say, "Well, I want what everything is always on house shots," I'm like, the vast majority of people that buy bowling balls, I'm not throwing a UFO or a proton physics on a house shot because I think it's actually a good idea. Most people buying bowling balls are going to buy them to throw on a house shot. And so I want to show you what the ball looks like on a house shot so that if you have any preconceived notions or ideas about if you want to if you have any ideas about buying a proton physics or a UFO to throw on a house shot, you better have a lot of speed or a low rev rate. I mean, it's just, sorry, not everything works out for everybody. Yeah, and if we review on US Open how many people actually bowl on tough shots like that, not very many, and it takes forever to get the footage. I mean, there is that too. So that's, yeah. So my wife, we bowl on a house shot at one center, and then I bowl on the house shot at Gage, which sometimes doesn't look like a house shot. But if it's like a proton physics that comes out, yes, then I will add a tougher or a higher volume shot anyway, because you're not going to be able to see the toughness of the shot on video. And here's a fun fact for everybody, since we're being all honest and coming clean.
Oh, dear God.
There were several videos that I shot last year, Astrophysics, IQ Emerald. There were several videos that I shot on last year, the 2019 Nationals team pattern. There's some other stuff I think I shot on, like what are some of the Sphinx and some of the other like tougher patterns. And then I used that footage on those patterns as comparison footage to other balls on house shots. Literally nobody noticed. So there were several videos that I had, and several of the rated videos I actually used some of that footage on. That I used house shot footage and sport shot footage in the same video, comparing ball reaction to each other, even though one was tough shot, one was easy shot. And nobody noticed the difference because lane surface number one is going to dominate most stuff. And if you have a medium sport pattern, like if you have a 25 mil 40-foot sport pattern and a 21 mil 40-foot house shot, they're going to look really, really close on video. So close that you're not going to be able to tell the difference. And obviously nobody did. So, yeah. Oh, John Schaffer. Thanks for doing the stream today. Relatives are gone, and it's given me a nice break from my kids. Sweet.
You're welcome.
I've been wanting to do a live stream for a while, and I had several people that still ask me well, what's this ball versus this ball? Or they get on the rated, some of the rated video. That's the funny ones is when they comment on the rated video and say, well, what about this ball versus this ball? It's like, well, I even linked that ball that they wanted the comparison to at the end of the video. And that's what so I wanted to explain what that series was about. I want to tell everybody about the live stream to kind of explain what's happening with the, nice Star Wars mug. This is the way when the coffee was actually warm, these are all the lightsabers and whatever else. And so if there's warm stuff in here, you'll see the lightsabers ignite. So
the camera's gonna be all fuzzy again.
no, it fixed itself.
All right.
It's probably my face making
Can
the
you
camera
move the-
fuzzy.
Oh, she gonna get on it. Okay.
It's like, dear God, the brightness, I can't focus. So anyway, Lou,
Around the containers.
Lou knows what I'm talking about. If you're into motive stuff, go watch Lou's videos. Even if you're not into motive stuff. I mean, I kind of like watching stuff, even if I don't get to throw it. So, and he makes good videos too. So go check him out. I find Luke's lack of urethane disturbing. I actually really like the fast pitch. I like the fast pitch and the pitch black. I don't get to use them often enough. But yes, Lou, Luis
I think there's more than one container.
knows what's going on in the video game, and you start out and you want to make videos that people watch, and then you realize at some certain point that you're trying to jazz them up, and a lot of people that watch ball videos don't actually like them jazzed up. They just want to watch the ball reaction. But to get people to click on the video in the first place, you kind of have to jazz them up and do that sort of thing. But it's a very fine line to walk between jazzing up a video and just throwing a bunch of advertising nonsense at people.
I've got 4 more.
And so you just want to, and that even watching your own stuff back when you get the videos done, when you get the footage done and you get back and it's like, well, this ball feels way different from this ball, but they look the same on video. And so I'm going to sound like an idiot saying, oh, wow, this ball is this hook's so much more than this ball or whatever else. And they do virtually the same thing on video. So the less time that you can take to make it, and the more people that you can get to watch, the better. But so what I'm going to do on the channel, I'm going to have the regular reviews that are going to include both me and her. And then I'm going to make a rated review for each ball that's going to feature both of us. And then I'm going to try to keep up with the report cards. Other than that, there's not going to be a whole lot of anything else, because honestly, beyond that, if you've seen the rated series, you can compare any ball to any other ball. Anything else that I make is literally just going to be to milk views. That's all that it would be for. And that's why I started doing so many comparison videos. Part of it was I wanted to make a couple comparison videos because there were relevant comparisons that I just couldn't show. Something like an astrophysics and an Omega Crux.
Well, the viewers started asking for it. If that's what the viewers want, that's what they're going to watch. So it was a win-win.
Yeah, so that was kind of that thing. And there are some relevant comparisons. I try to add some in the videos, but an astrophysics in a video, I'm going to compare it to the physics #1 and to something else like a Halo Pearl that it's somewhat similar to. But when an Omega Crux comes out and people are going to say, okay, well, they're both pearls, they're both asymmetric, what's the difference here? Well, the difference is huge. It's amazingly, insanely huge. And so that's a relevant comparison. So I would like to watch, that's one of my first ones that I thought of with the Omega is like, well, I've got to compare it to the Astro because on paper, they're pretty similar. On the lane, they're not even close. But so that's where I got tired of doing those over and over again. And like I said, there's only so many. When I have 8 comparison videos, I'm going to say the same thing about the Omega in every single one of them. And so I'm like, well, basically what I'm doing is I'm taking this little bit of information and this little bit of information and putting in the same video. Well, if I just do the rated series, then you can chain the comparisons for as long as you want to. You can compare any ball to any other ball that you want to, even if it's ridiculous, and get the same information without me,
Well, and then when there's people
doing all this
that
comparison
they
nonsense.
have a ball in their bag and it's the only ball they've used for get another ball, it could be a 10-year-old ball that they're using. They want to know what to get. And so trying to compare that, I mean, you'd have a hard time with that.
Yeah. Have you used the Marvel Max Elite? It is Korea catalog ball. This ball's amazing. That's one that I really, really wanted, but they are expensive over here in the States. I pay the same price that everybody else pays for that stuff, but I recently got a Phase 3 SE that has the same cover stock that's on the Marvel Elite. So I'm very, very happy about that because I like the Marvel series. I like the Phase series even a little bit more. And so having a Marvel Max Elite, but instead it's a Phase 3 SE, that makes me happy. So
that one will probably get drilled really.
So yeah, I've been bummed out for a while because I just never could get one of those Elites. I didn't have the money when they came out, and then they got rare and they got more popular, and so they got more expensive. I'm like, gosh, I can't spend $400 or $450 on a bowling ball, especially when I just get sent stuff. New stuff keeps coming out, and I've got a bunch of balls down there that I already want to throw and can't throw.
Yeah, there's 2 down there
to begin
I want
with.
You to drill for me, but I can't justify it.
Yeah, and I can't justify, like, she's got a ProMotion Tour that she'd really love to drill, but we've got so much other stuff.
The IQ Tour Rising,
the IQ
and the
Tour Rising
are the 2 that I would love.
Yeah, and I've got a pink phase. I've got the breast cancer phase sitting down there. I've got an original phase. I've got the Phase 3 SE, the Phase G, the Phase Tour that I really want to drill, but I already can't take all the stuff that I have now to league, and so I can't justify, especially when they're $300, $350, $400 a ball. Put extra holes in stuff. So
they'll last a little longer if you leave them new in box until you are ready to throw them.
Yeah. And if I put holes in stuff and I can't throw it, it's just going to sit around until it cracks. So, but anyway. So,
and
yeah.
A potential Nether Fun stream would be on 12/31 New Year's Eve. A surprise drilling stream that James.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing is James is going to be in town. He was looking to come back down for some tournaments, and he got we got some big stuff going on because they're going to have 3 tournaments. They're going to have back to back to back. So James is going to get a great trip out of this, assuming that he has actually gotten Kansas City figured out now. We've been working on that.
He knows how to get here.
But so they're going to have the KC tournaments that we go to. Okay, focus again. I put my hand up every time I put my hand up.
Stop putting your hand up.
So anyway, so we're going to have 3 tournaments. We're going to have a tournament on January 1st, January 2nd, and January 3rd. And so he's going to be out here. We're going to do all kinds of stuff that weekend. So we're going to be bowling several different tournaments. We're going to set up for all of you that remember that we had the mega stream a couple months ago in the Den at Aaron's Family Fun Center in Belton, Missouri. If you're ever in the area, do that. Jack, that's a really good question. I'm going to get to that as soon as I'm finished with my thought. Don't let me forget that because that's an excellent question. So we're going to have another stream in the Den. In there, Aaron's takes great care of us. Frank Hall, the mechanic, and Mike Soroka, the general manager, take great care of us, and they want to have more stuff. And they ran a great tournament last night. There was some bugs that happened, but they got them taken care of. And that happens when you have 120 odd people in the building bowling a tournament at 8 p.m. And they stayed open for us. They fixed everything. They took care of everything. I thought it was a great tournament. So we're going to be back there in the Den with them again. And then we are going to have a drilling stream for James where I'm going to pick the ball and the layout and drill it for him just to kind of fill a void in his arsenal or whatever, or just give
KC specific, most likely
give him a different look or an option for what we're going to be doing. Kansas City, it's very different bowling in Kansas City. And James has bowled here enough to see that it's just different. And I think that's something that prepares me a lot better when I go travel to other places, because the transition is crazy in Kansas City. The lane surfaces are all pretty different in Kansas City. We have some super high friction stuff. We have some stuff that is just, we have so many different experiences to have at all these different bowling centers in Kansas City, different types of approaches and different types of transition. And just bowling in Kansas City will prepare you for a bunch of other places where you have more normal transition or more normal friction levels of the lanes and more normal adjustments. I mean, the adjustments that you make in Kansas City, I don't feel like you make a whole lot of other places, or if you do, it's fairly few and far between. And so when I go to other tournaments out of town, it's like, okay, so they're a little bit wetter or they're a little bit drier, and then the transition's kind of normal. And so it's like, okay, well, this is doable. This is manageable. And then you go to Kansas City and it's like, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't know why this is happening. This has never happened before. But, yeah. And so, yeah, it's a chance for me to show off. It's a chance for me to show that I'm not just a staffer shill ball commercial guy trying to milk views and money out of people on YouTube.
So, Adam has a purple monster?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, if the purple monster is still not, that was my purple monster, actually, that
is that what he came over and picked up from you at one point?
I think so.
Like we were at the park or something. Because he was going to go bowling and.
Yeah, so I had a purple monster. We had some really great. I mean, the purple monster was my first actual hooking ball. Maybe not. I mean, yeah. Yep, Adam definitely should still score. Yep, purple monster was a big deal back in the day. I remember the purple monster, and it was great. It should still be good. Just got to get it refit, and I happen to know a guy that can do that. And yes, that's the other thing, is you can't match up with everything. So more honesty on the channel. Very nice. Very nice. Anyway, I just want to talk more bowling stuff. I don't want to talk bowling ball stuff all the time, and I kind of have to, but anyhow, so we're going to get back to Jack's question, because Jack asked a great question. Did your average go up or down when you became a staffer? Because I overthink it now. I can't imagine having so many options. My average went down. So the thing about being a staffer is you're more a representative for the company. And so, you know, they want you throwing the new stuff as much as possible because you're advertising it, number one. They want you to show it off. They want you to talk about it. They want you to know what you're talking about. And if you bowl good with the new stuff, that helps sell it. And that's, and that's not, it's not just to milk sales out of people or to sell stuff. A big part of it is, if they are making good products or something like the Axiom Pearl that everybody's just going gangbusters with, they want you to be showing that off to everybody else and saying, hey, this is an option. If you're in the market for this type of a ball, there's a lot of people having success with it. It's great. If you don't know about a product, you can't buy it. And so, a lot of the advertising is for, this is our product. We like it. We think it's great. We think you'd enjoy it too. And bowling is not really in the business of trying to milk people for their money. Nobody gets into the bowling industry to get rich. And so everybody has a passion for it. Everybody enjoys it. There's a bunch of stuff from Gary Holsenberg and Blair Blumenscheid, who most of you might know Gary. Fewer of you probably know Blair. Blair's kind of our communications, social media expert that we have. And so she does a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And they work their 40-hour week. And then there's a lot of times where Blair will go over to the Holsenberg and they'll talk shop like the entire weekend or something. So whether they're on the clock or off the clock, they get paid for a certain amount of hours, but they're definitely putting a lot more into it because it's a labor of love. And, Chad McLean, that's the technical director for Storm. He's always doing stuff, and, they make good products that they want everybody else to enjoy too. And, advertising and marketing is just a part of it. And so when you're a staffer, getting back to the question finally, because
You're a rambling man. That
Yeah,
needs to be
so-
your song.
yeah, that would get a copyright strike though.
Where's Keith Austin? Keith,
Things
you
you-
need to redo the rambling man for us.
Yes. If Keith would redo the Ramblin' Man, then definitely, then I could share it because it would be a
Let me go. Let me switch over to Discord.
yeah. But
I'm
he does
requesting.
the hippity hop.
He can do vocals.
Yeah.
He can redo it.
Anyhow, so when you're a staffer, they want you to. They don't. They don't really want me continuing to throw the promotion. Let me put it that way. And it's not because it's just because it's discontinued. You can't get it anymore. They're not in current production. Now, if it comes to Bowling Bad with something they have out now, or Bowling Good with something that's no longer available, obviously they don't want you to just throw all the new stuff no matter what and make it look terrible. But they want you to talk about, advertise, or promote the stuff that's currently available now. So if a bunch of new stuff comes out and I'm still taking all the old stuff to bowl with, well, what does that say about the new stuff? So there's not any pressure there though. It's like, please share this stuff, talk about it, share the videos, go out and bowl with them, whatever else. If it's not the ball for the day, like they don't expect all the staffers to be out throwing proton physics in league. That doesn't make any sense. But if you're bowling on something tough, or if you can actually throw it, please throw it, make it look good. And I have a mix of a bunch of stuff right now. I do carry the ProMotion around, but I'm throwing the Tour Nano Pearl a lot here recently. The Phase 3 and the Phase 2 have gotten a lot of use. Those have become kind of staples in my bag. The Idle Synergy makes it out every once in a while. I need to take the shine off of it.
I thought you did that.
No, not yet. I keep getting it up there to take the shine off of it, and then it just doesn't happen. So,
For some reason, I thought I saw it on
and
the
then
spinner.
whatever, I rotate the last ball in there. So the Astro goes to play sometimes. What else? That's only 5. I'm trying to think. Oh, the Electrify Hybrid.
You said trend,
actually-
right?
Huh?
You said trend, right?
Yeah, the Trend is in there. No, but that's in there every once in a while. There's the ones that I throw the most right now are the IQ Tour Nano Pearl, the ProMotion, and the Phase 2 and the Phase 3. Those are what get the most action. Sometimes the Parallax gets a little bit of action depending on what the lanes are doing. But I like lower RGs. Lower RGs seem to work out. The asymmetric stuff, the astrophysics gets some action sometimes. The asymmetric stuff is just a little too torquey down lane most of the time. But anyway, once again, getting back to the question. So I have some mainstays that I like throwing. And so once again, the question was about, did your average go up or down when you became a staffer because you have all these different options? The downside is that you have all the options. And so it can be a little hard when you're trying to fit 20 balls into an 8-ball tournament arsenal when you think, gosh, well, if this situation, then I want this ball, or I have this ball, or this one's drilled like this. Or when you have fewer options, it's actually easier to put something together because it's like, this is what I have. This is what needs to work. And when you have too many choices or too many balls, that can create people that go back to the bag too often. When most of the time, if a ball is matching up with that lane surface, it's not necessarily about matching up to the lane condition, because they can put several different conditions down, and you find that you tend to use the same types of balls in that certain center because that ball matches up to the lane surface. I mean, there was no, turn that down.
I didn't know you could hear it.
Yes, if that goes on this at all, then the whole thing goes.
Sorry. I was trying to just turn it up. I could see it.
Nailed the subscribe and like buttons. Thank you. Appreciate it. So most of the time, people will be, staffers especially, will be way too quick to go back to the bag and grab something out. Generally, if something is working in that center, then you should probably make a physical adjustment rather than, there was one guy I saw one time bowling this was several years ago, but he was bowling the state tournament at Westridge. He was a staffer. He brought in 10 balls, and within a game and a half, he was on the phone with his area rep saying, "Hey, I'm bowling this tournament. I've gone through all 10 balls in my bag. I can't find a look with any of them. What do I do?" And it's like, you brought 10 balls into a house shot, and not just a house shot at this house. You brought 10 balls in, and you're on the phone with your rep because you went through all of them and can't find a look. Like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. But sometimes you can definitely have too many options. And if you just have to make what you brought work, you'll find out that it actually works a lot better than you think it would. And physical adjustments will always dominate equipment adjustments. Now, you do have to match up. There is a thing to being matched up, but the matchup is not just the ball. It's not just, well, I'm going to throw the ball how I normally throw it, and if it doesn't work out, I'm just going to switch balls until I find out what works. A lot of the time, it's a combination between a physical adjustment and an equipment adjustment to find the best match. And it was just like last night, like the Tornado Pearl was the ball that ended up matching up really well, but I was not in the right part of the lane doing the right things. And as soon as I lined up, then stuff was, instead of, feeling like I was getting no help and I was bowling in a phone booth and whatever else, all of a sudden it just opened wide up. I went from, let me see, because I shot 230 with it the first game, and the next two pairs were kind of tight, or I think I just got lucky. I just got lucky the first game, really, with a pair that was a little bit more open than the next two. So I went like 230, 180, or 170, 180. And then towards the middle of the next game, I'm just like, you know what? I'm giving up. Or I used the next game to kind of fine tune what I was doing. I got tapped a couple times, but I shot 210. And the next game I shot 270. And so I went from having absolutely nothing and grinding out a 170 and a 180 just to try to stay close to the pocket and leave makeable stuff, because I thought, well, this is going to be one of those days where the left side just is not playing and I'm going to have a fresh shot all the time. And then I end up shooting 210, 270 the next couple games, getting great breaks and kicking stuff and tripping stuff. And so I went from a miserable look to the nuts, the berries, whatever else you want to call it, in a couple games with the same ball on the same condition in the same house. And where a lot of people would have been, I did switch balls a couple times, but I switched balls and I'm like, well, that's not the look, and I don't think that's the look, and whatever else. I'm like, the best look really was with the Tornado Pearl, but I'm just getting squeezed. And then I finally made the physical adjustment that opened everything up. So yeah. And so shouldn't it be don't spare the like and subscribe button? Yeah. Strike the, yeah.
That's punny.
But Tiss, that's my brother. He's the clever one.
He's the man of
oh, will you put your lefty phase 2 on video at some point? Have been looking forward to seeing that. Yes, I will actually. I think I might have gotten that on video I think I might have that on video somewhere. I don't know where it's at though. Maybe the phase. I don't think I didn't have it for the phase 2 rated, but it might not be on video anywhere. Actually,
so. You went out to practice
I went up to stuff. Oh, I did get it on video, but I was trying out some different camera settings, and so I don't think I landed on anything that really worked that great. Or I might have footage for it that's just regular footage that I haven't put in any new video yet. So I might actually,
like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, I might actually have to do that. It's pretty good. It instantly went in the bag and it's hanging out. Yeah. Interesting. Oh God, I don't want to open that can of worms. Re-rated with new footage.
Well, you're a lefty.
George Lucas director's cut. Strikes more fear in my heart than the words George Lucas director's cut. So anyway,
unfiltered is the same thing.
to still be on this same question. And that's an interesting point. Or I heard that they beg Walter Ray Williams Jr. to drill new stuff. Sometimes he'll use the same ball for a year. And there's a lot of guys that have their tried and true Old Faithful that Simonson
still uses the P2 like crazy. Even
yeah,
with all the stuff.
and they're just, but he's still going to be using stuff. There's guys that use stuff that's a whole lot older than that too. But so what it does, so that's one of those things where there's not any pressure, but they want you to use the new stuff if at all possible. That's why you're on staff to begin with, to kind of show stuff off, promote it, advertise it, actually know what you're talking about, and be able to make the stuff look good. But at the same time, if you're using new stuff and sucking with it, that's not helping the brand or the company. Or if you go back to the bag for a different ball every other frame because you can't match up with anything, that doesn't.
James again.
Yeah, that doesn't look very good. It's like, well, that ball sucks, that ball sucks, that ball sucks. I've gone through everything. I don't have anything left. It's like, oh, that doesn't look very good. Not just Frankie with the Alpha Crux. Yeah, they're still using Alpha Crux, and I think the Proton is probably going to replace the Alphas. I think it's legitimately that good that they're finally going to be able to put down the Alphas and start using the Protons.
Oh, you'll be happy.
And with the Haywire, I think that the Haywires are going to start getting replaced with the Axioms too. So I think that they've found some newer stuff that they can get going. Now, the flip side is that having the luxury of going through so many more bowling balls than most people do, I've had a lot of stuff to experiment on. And so if I want to try a different layout, it's not like I'm risking $200 on a layout just to see if I like it. I mean, I'll put something, it's like, okay, well, I'll drill some and it doesn't work out. It's,
you have your own ball plug.
No skin off my nose. And now, I have my own plugging stuff now. So if something doesn't work out, I can just plug it and re-drill it. It's no big issue. It's just the work.
I was to say either that, or if you don't match up with the ball and I do, or vice versa. Now you have a spare, I have a spare.
So I mean, if somebody pays $200 for a ball and they try a layout and they don't like it, then it's going to be another 50 or 60 to get it re-drilled. And that's a lot of money to go through. So now I put in a bunch of time, and so I actually spend more on bowling equipment than most people do. It's just in time instead of money. So that's a very interesting way to work. And that's the thing is I tell everybody, it's like, well, they say it must be nice to get all that free stuff. It's like, well, you get free money at your job too. You just have to show up and work for it. Well, that's different. I'm like, no, it's not different at all. I spend all kinds of time making these videos and doing whatever else. And
nothing.
Yeah, we were pretty severely in the red for the first several years until the YouTube thing.
I say it took 3.5
finally
years
got somewhere
from YouTube to get $100.
Yeah, I got my first YouTube profit sharing ad revenue check was for $100 or $102.30 or something like that, and it took 3 years to get to that point. So anyhow, but I do have the luxury of being able to try out a bunch of different things. I've gone through so many bowling balls. I've gone through several of the same bowling balls several times. I'm on phase 2, number 4 or 5. I've got high road number 7, I believe, in the basement. I drilled a couple Astros. I drilled 3 Emeralds. And so you get to understand the equipment very well. And so I know exactly what I'm getting when an R2S Pearl ball comes out. No matter what core is in it, really, I know the basics of what the ball is going to do. When something like an RSTX1 comes out, I was 95% of the way there before even throwing it. And so the vast majority of the time, I know I know 95% of what I'm getting just by looking at the specs on the paper. Now the Proton surprised me. It's not as chewy up front. It gets better length, and it's not quite as boomy down lane as I expected it to be. But it's still the overall idea. I got so okay. Well, I basically know what I'm going to get. So I get a very big familiarity with with the equipment. So now that I've gone through so much stuff, I have a lot better idea what to expect. I'm a lot more confident in drilling. And when a ball comes out, I try to use the same layout so that you can see consistency in the videos. But at the same time, I'm like, well, this layout may not work that great on this ball. And so I'm going to go with something else, because at the end of the day, I still have to use this stuff after I drill it for a video. So a lot of people think, well, can you do this with the ball, or can you do this, or can you try this layout or whatever else? And it's like, well, I still have to use this stuff after the video. I mean, if I don't like drilling stuff specifically for a video, especially if I know I'm not going to use it after the fact. When something like a UFO comes out, that's 10 hours of my life that I'm not going to get back, because I'm going to film for the video. I'm going to put, the resources into drilling the video. I'm going to burn a couple grips. I'm going to burn a slug. I'm going to spend a bunch of time making a video for a ball that I'm just never going to get to throw. And so that's the other side of it, that sometimes stuff comes out that I just know I'm not going to use, because I just don't see that kind of volume, and you rarely need something like a UFO on the left side of the lane anyway. So that's just, I mean, that's just the story sometimes. But for a long-winded, I mean, it was a great question. So I like great questions.
They just get 20-minute answers.
Well, but there's so much that goes into some of that stuff. And so this is why I can't make, well, can you make a video about this or about this? And sometimes it doesn't show up good on video. And sometimes you have to ramble about it for 20 minutes, because there's so many different ways and points together. Serious question. Do you know if how bowling balls age perform differently at different altitudes, like sea level versus Denver? Yes. Since he
knows.
Yes. So storm stuff actually gets made in Brigham City, Utah, which is about an hour north of Salt Lake City, and it's a lot higher elevation than most places in the country. For example, San Antonio. The Hustle Inks, that's always the story, the Utah Inks versus the San Antonio Inks. So the Hustle Ink, when it came out to begin with, was they did several runs of that at the plant in Brigham City. And then once they kind of acquired 900 Global, or once they started getting busier, they started making a lot of the lower end stuff in San Antonio. And so they made the inks in San Antonio for a while, and they reacted differently. It's the same materials and same whatever else, but the San Antonio inks came out darker, and they were actually a little bit stronger and a little bit smoother than the Utah inks. Well, now they're making inks in Utah again, and do answers faster. You know that that doesn't happen. I mean, I ramble and I stutter when I'm talking to myself. So how you think I'm going to have a regular conversation or an answer for anybody else? But yes, different barometric pressures, different temperatures, different altitudes, and the way that they affect things. More specifically, the oil. Bowling balls will expand and contract as well. If it's colder outside, the oil tends to be a little thicker. And so the same shot applied with the same machine at the same center tends to play drier in the summer than it does in the winter. And so, yes, bowling balls are kind of like concrete. They continue to cure. And so as they age, they get harder and harder. So they will go longer and generally be snappier on the back end. Sometimes they get to a point where they just harden enough to where they don't hook as much as they used to. And I'm kind of surprised that Purple Monster hasn't cracked by now, because as they age and as they get harder, they also tend to shrink a little bit too. So that makes the ball want to crack, because it's trying to pull away from it's basically trying to pull away from itself. All the different Most balls are 3-piece now, so they have the core, and then they have the filler material, and then they have the cover stock. And all of those are different densities. They expand and contract at different rates. And so the older a ball gets, the more it wants to just pull itself apart, basically. It plans. So, yep. So, yes, they do perform differently at different altitudes because different altitudes are going to have different pressures and different temperatures as well. So, yeah. I'm going to come ask you a bunch of stuff about beer one of these days when you're not busy. So it's going to be a while. Yes, we actually did. We did a yeah, that would he's definitely a lot more entertaining than I am. We did a stream. We did one of the beer frames at Norseman one time. So we did a beer frame and tried out several of different beers, but I wanted to go back and get run through some production stuff, get in the back and say, okay, well, this is where we start. This is where we finish. This is kind of do a tour or whatever. Yeah. Beer and bowling. Yeah, I know. It's bleh. Just picked up the 9s. Any suggestions on where to get the slides cheap? Nope. They are not cheap. So hopefully, yeah. Okay. Hopefully you know which ones you need because they're not cheap. Yeah. You find yourself bowling on a lane covered in gravy with turkeys flying around the lane. What storm or RG would you throw to gobble up pins and throw turkeys? No pun intended. Well, they don't have a ball that smells like gravy. Maybe I would want like a parallax covered in gravy so it smells like gravy instead of whatever the hell it smells like.
Pearls, not far behind that one.
Yeah. What would you throw to gobble up pins and throw turkeys? I did do a turkey special video, Thanksgiving special video last year, throwing turkeys with several different balls. If I needed to throw a turkey, I would probably something that I can count on, that the ProMotion, just to get to the pocket and give me a chance. I should use it more than I do, but I use it kind of my bailout ball if nothing else works. But Crown Apple and bowling, that was kind of a rough trip back on Sunday, though.
We got Mexican.
Yeah, we got Mexican food. That helped out a lot. But I had a headache most of the day, and Monday morning sucked a little. Not taking care of wood lanes that dry out fast. Any ideas? Bowl somewhere else. Wood lanes are a lot softer than synthetic lanes, so generally, no, I was the one that was drinking the stuff.
Yeah, it made me very happy. You should apologize to me.
You just enabled me. Not taking so wood lanes are quite a bit softer than synthetic lanes, and so you can use a lot less aggressive equipment. Mostly. So yeah, IQ Emerald or Electrify Pearl, probably like what James just said. Generally weaker equipment is going to work. Because as synthetic lanes have become more popular, the bowling balls have increased in hook anyway, but because synthetic lanes are harder, they kind of needed to hook more. Because that's one thing that I noticed, because I bowled on wood lanes forever, and then when I started bowling on synthetic lanes, they weren't really adding more oil. There was just less friction there overall, and so I noticed that my stuff didn't hook near as much on the synthetic lanes as they did on the wood lanes. So yep. All right, so I've been rambling for almost 2.5 hours. If you missed anything, you want to go back. Urethane, maybe, probably, but you're probably gonna really wreck the lanes for everybody. So I generally don't recommend urethane on a house shot. But all right, so I've been rambling for 2.5 hours. If you're watching now and you weren't watching earlier, go back to the beginning of the video because I kind of explained my rated series. I'm going to do a kind of coffee and rambling on Friday mornings to talk about subjects beyond endless ball comparisons and ball commercial videos and whatever else.
Probably
So
more stories,
recaps
of things, and
talk some meatier bowling stuff. So if you happen to be awake at 8:00 on Friday mornings and want to have a cup of coffee with me in the morning and listen to me talk about some stuff, I'll have a different subject. If I just kind of ramble aimlessly, that never goes well. So I'm going to try to have a specific subject I want to talk about every morning. So I'm not going to do it tomorrow, but probably next Friday will be the first one. So I'll sit down and have a couple cups of coffee and just talk some bowling stuff. And then we have a fundraiser / wrap up. Yeah, year wrap up, recap, whatever else. Tentatively scheduled December 19th. That's a Saturday, 7 or 8 o'clock at night. We're going to do another fundraiser for Positive Tails Rescue here in Kansas City. You can also support them, luke.bowlinglabs.com, Panda Pack patches and donations. But we've got a couple bowling pins signed by Brad Miller and Tom Hess. And then I think we're getting some stuff from Tish Johnson, possibly from Carolyn Doran Ballard and Del Ballard. So that's once again December 19th, and I'm confirmed for the 19th, so it better not change. Our tournament, we have a tournament that day, but it's in Lawrence, so it's going to be closer, and it should be earlier in the morning. They should have it like 10 o'clock or anything, so we should be fine on that. So those are all the updates for right now. I don't have anything else that I know of, but gonna try to do less bowling ball commercial comparisons, advertisement, and more like actual real bowling talk and stuff like that. So the Friday morning coffee and rambling is probably going to be a big part of that.
The ball comparisons are nice when you're trying to help.
Yeah, when they're
make
actually
decisions, but
when they're actually relevant and not milking views. So
the point is to help the bowlers, not to.
Yeah, views are important, and views definitely help quite a bit, but I'm over it. So
You need to. Well, there's a line between basically making up for the hourly pay that you're not paid for doing this and doing what you want to do or what you get enjoyment out of, what's going to not make you stop doing this.
Yeah, what's going to benefit people more and actually help them out instead of focus on nothing but bowling balls. You're bowling in a sweeper against a wild turkey who's trash talking you the whole time. Do you end up defeating him? In the end, do you end up eating the turkey for Thanksgiving? I'm not a big turkey fan. Now, if it's
smothered in gravy.
If it's smothered in gravy and there's mashed potatoes, which I'm actually going to go get as soon as I turn this off. Mr. Waswo, you've actually recovered from last night and have some time to pop in here. Ran a great tournament last night. I know he's hard at work at getting the points list updated so everybody knows what they're doing next weekend. I think I did enough to, after the games 2 and 3, I was not thinking I was going to make it inside the number, but I think that I'm going to make, I was like 4 points out of the number for the top 36 tournament that they do at the end of the year. So I think I did enough to get myself inside the number. So they set aside some extra money from all that. They run a crap load of tournaments throughout the year that we get to go bowl. And then they keep track of points for every tournament. And so at the end of the year, if you're in the top 36 in points, then they have a free entry tournament. Everybody gets paid. So I can bowl absolutely awful and finish in 36, and I will walk away with something. I'll get to bowl for free, and then I'll walk away with something. So it'll be amazing. And then they have the grand finale tournament that you have to bowl at least 4 tournaments to qualify for. But if you bowl 10 of their tournaments throughout the year, it's a free entry. I have bowled 11 tournaments, so I will have a free entry to that into the grand finale too. So couple tournaments that I just get to show up and bowl and walk away with some money. So that's great. It's fantastic. Appreciate all their hard work. Just running the small tournaments that we run, know how much work goes into that. And they always have big crowds, and the request for, hey, can you put me with so-and-so, and can we be bowling next to so-and-so, and whatever else. And the fact that they're actually organized and that they actually accommodate everybody, and that they're actually organized, and that things are streamlined and things always run well. And they've always got their ears on and listen to the phones and whatever else. They're great tournaments. And James has flown out for several of them, despite not getting in the groove of the Kansas City bowling thing. I think he's going to have a pretty productive.
He'll get.
I think he's going to
4
have
days of it back to back.
Yeah,
He'll
he's
practice.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a good trip in January. I don't want to follow anyone throwing urethane. Yeah, James doesn't want to follow anybody throwing resin. Just Greater KC Open at Lunar was entertaining. It was entertaining. Maybe one of these days James will win a side bet against me. We're still trying to work on that.
Maybe you should do $25 per day, so he has a chance.
Let's not talk about Hey, it was just a house shot with a bunch of people throwing reactives. I don't know what the problem was. Oh. Happy Thanksgiving. Mike Calhoun in Michigan told me to say hello to you and Shim. It sucks that he's not going to be able to bowl. But, yeah. So, once again, we really appreciate Kansas City tournaments. And James has flown out for several of them. I mean, you know that they're quality tournaments when somebody will fly halfway across the country several times a year to bowl some sweepers. You know that they got to be some good stuff. So yeah. So yes, I think I did enough to sneak into the top 36, and
I think I'm going to say Patton's the one that says I don't want to follow anyone with throwing.
Yeah, well, Patton definitely, but and the point about that is, the requests. I'm sure that they get all kinds of requests with I want to bowl with so and so, and I don't want to bowl with so and so, and then they have a skip procedure. So it's like, well, I don't want to bowl. I don't want to follow anybody that's throwing urethane because that'll screw the lanes up. And so just some of the ridiculous stuff that I don't want to bowl with so and so, and I want to bowl with so and so. And well, if you can't put me on the pair with him, can I at least bowl next to him or whatever else? Just you got it. Yep, Waswo Adamski runs some of and Waswo X2 because Kim does a bunch of stuff, and Gabby's always there for moral support. So
no, she's there to smack everybody on the butt.
Yeah, smack everybody on the butt and tell them they're crazy. But
and they're sexy.
Yeah, I mean James bowls a bunch of UBA stuff. James is bowling tournaments all the time. I mean, he gets ball videos out like right a couple months before they're discontinued, because he's bowling so many tournaments, and he will actually fly out for these. He's flown out several times for these tournaments. Jack Stack is a big draw too, but that's beside the point.
We'll have to take James there to milk his sorrow.
Yeah.
His $25 to you.
Yeah. Yep. Take James to Jack Stack so he can pay for he's paid for my meal the last couple trips out now. So. All right. Well, I've rambled for long enough. Appreciate everybody hanging in here and listening to the rambling and the complaining and the whining and the explanation of some stuff and whatever else. And thanks, Dave, Mike, and Kim. And hopefully we'll see you next week. I think I did enough, despite that last game. I think no Nerf darts. Yeah. Bruce joined Discord. Yeah. Yeah, so you get to hear all the interesting stuff. Bruce is one of our good friends here in town that we travel to a lot with stuff. He's my doubles partner at several different tournaments, and so anyway, I'm going to go eat some leftovers. speaking of gravy and turkey and mashed potatoes and whatever else, once again, if you just joined here, I had a bunch of updates earlier in the video, but we're going to call it a night. My webcam works fantastic, and my my little Blue Yeti Nano microphone, that's amazing. But we'll do this more often. So thanks everybody for showing up. We're going to have more interesting and relevant conversations. Like I said, you know, Brad Miller was nice enough to sit down and talk to everybody for 10 or 15 minutes after the tournament yesterday. And that's stuff I want to talk about. I want to be more in that. The bowling ball stuff is nice and it's helpful, but I don't want to be the bowling ball commercial guy. I want to, you know, do bigger and better things and more relevant things and help people out more. And there's a bunch of stuff out there. And there's, you know, when you go to spend a couple $100 on a bowling ball, you want to make sure that you get the right ball. And so it doesn't take 100 videos a year to get you there. So, yep. Thanks a bunch. We'll see you later. Apparently everything worked. So we'll see you next time. Thanks everybody for showing up.